amazing. Oh, it's clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Water.
For the first time here for season 3. Davis on pole, Vandergren in second. It's going to be sprint round action here tonight. Let's go racing here at Daytona. It was a good start there from Davis in comparison to Vandergren in behind. Cowan's absolutely bogged it up and already dropped out of the top 3 here as they come down towards turn 1 for the first time. There's biffing and barging between Gallen and Cowan. These guys are still going at it after last season. They survived for this time by though. Through turn 2 and 3 they come. Nice and clean, boys. Keep it up as they come up to...
I love riding. It's a real social thing. There's a great bond between riders.
Every weekend I look forward to getting out there. It's a freedom like no other.
Riding to work is a great way to start the day.
Shannons insure all types of road bikes, not just classics. They offer features riders really want. It's why they're one of Australia's leading motorcycle insurance providers.
Whatever you ride, whatever you ride,
Whatever you ride,
ride with Shannons.
Call 134646 for a quote.
Through turn 1, it was a horrible start from De Bono. He's absolutely bogged it up and gets eaten alive by Dixon and Gowans as they come on through. Through turn 1 they come, and they all spread out around in towards the first sector of the Silverstone circuit. They look all right at the moment. Okay, there's already been a car spun round. That's Jordan Ferguson offline.
Is green, green, green at Road Atlanta here as well. Faulkner did get away. De Bono is tucked in as well. Unfortunately, Houghton is on that outside line. De Bono does want to tell him to do. He's got the job. De Bono's overtaken. Now can he get Ben Faulkner up through turns 2 and 3? They go round the right-hander, dropping down the hill. Faulkner's out in front. De Bono second. Houghton third. Ratcliffe in fourth. No real dramas going into turn 1.
We've always had a few cars. They're all special. The T-Bird.
Oh, that's mine.
The Combi for when we want to get away. The XR8.
It's going to be a classic.
They're all insured with Shannons,
We've also got Shannon's home and contents cover.
which helps protect our automotive collectibles, tools and memorabilia in the home and garage. If you're motoring enthusiasts like us, it's got to be
Shannon's.
Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts. Call 134646 for a quote.
amazing. Oh, it's clash heads again. This is like Chaz Mostert and Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down the hill. Sam Noble wants to sniff on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because Tell you what, Bruce Tanek and Jamie Dyson just absolutely drove away from us. Hayden trying to go around the outside. This is where he could have just sent it up the inside, but he hasn't defended it, which is fair enough. It's very scary out there, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's see if we get a good run. Dodds just absolutely think about it. It's a really nice move. Blake Delaney had to move out of the way.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Sim Racing World TV, and welcome into the Cooler Masters Super Formula Championship for round 4 of season 3 of 2024 here out at Donington Park Racing Circuit for the Grand Prix layout of this track. I am your commentator here tonight, Hamish Munro, joined for not the first time, but the first time in a while for Super Formula action with my new co-host for the rest of this season and admin of this series, Brad Hudson. Hutto, you joined me on Friday for the GTs. You're back in your element tonight for Super Formulas and some open wheel action. And my previous co-commentator, Andrew Cowan, is out on track. What has happened to the world and what alternate universe are we in?
Oh, Hamish, good evening. What universe we're in? A fantastic one. I tell you what, I am excited for tonight. We've got healthy nubs out on track tonight. And yeah, good to see Cowie out on track. Let's see what this race holds.
Well, there's so much on offer here tonight. A couple of new drivers into this series and the old favourites as well. Making their debut into this season, of course, Cowie is out there. Ben Faulkner as well as Johnny Rowe. Andrew Johnston returns to the series after being away for a little while. So there's some new blood and some old blood out there ready to taste hunger and taste some simulated champagne out here at Donington Park. A tough track, Hutto. Not my preferred layout of this track. I do prefer the national layout, which basically just cuts out the little bit of hair that's hanging off the top of this track. But it's going to be a good little challenge, and I think there could be an opportunity for some chaos tonight. It may be all wide and all open, but it's fast-paced, and any check-up at one of these fast-paced corners could lead to disaster for a majority of the field if they're not prepared for it to happen.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Hamish. I guess not a great deal of passing opportunities in the first, I guess, say, 2 sectors of the course, but getting onto that back straight and then going down to that final few corners with the hairpins does offer an opportunity to the drivers. But for the first couple of sectors, they're just going to have to be patient and wait their time until they find the right opportunities.
Well, I think they've proven this season, Hutto, that patience is not necessarily a virtue that this whole field likes to put into their anticipation out here on track. We have got 39 drivers in the session tonight. Unfortunately, Dave Roberts has to pull out at the last minute. I have seen that Keegan Caldwell is back in the session, so we have got that one extra driver back in. So just under 40 drivers. It's a big field for a track like this, and a lot of them will be starting around the final corner and on that little portion that is subject to just the GP track. That could be a tough test for them off the start line as well, so they probably want to try and get into the top 30 cars on the grid just to be starting on the main straight tonight and hopefully missing out on a bit of chaos happening down towards turn 1. Who else have we got out there though? We've got the likes of Jamie Davis. He's struggling for a little bit of pace right now in this practice session. We've also got Cowie on hand, Hutto, to drag in and have a chat to him, of course. We also have a couple others out there. I mean, Faulkner, it took him half an hour to get to the top of the timing tower. He is on the top of the timing tower, though, for the practice session. So about 60 seconds left. As a driver yourself, a former driver in this series, Hutto, how do you think some of these drivers are going to have to look into preparing for this race here tonight? And how do you think they're going to go when attempting to race around a track like this? Because we haven't been here for quite a while.
Yeah, how would one prepare themselves? I guess if you're at the front, you just want to keep it clean. You just want to get through to race 2. You want to be inside that top 10. Obviously, we have a reverse grid just for the top 10 drivers. So if you're a pro, like the pros are locking out the top 12 spots at the moment in practice, you really want to be inside that top 10 and just keep it clean, because the second race, the feature race, is where a majority of the points will be earned. For the guys who are mid to towards the rear of the pack, you kind of want to get inside that top 20. So I kind of look at it as a race of thirds. Like, you set yourself little goals. Like, a top 10's fantastic, top 20's like pretty good, and you don't really want to be any lower than, say, maybe P24 going into race 2, because it's tough to make up ground unless there's a safety car and a few incidents.
Well, I think it's kind of a trade secret, not really a trade secret, but the best unkept secret that we could have quite a few safety cars here tonight. Cowie made the prediction we're going to have 4 out there. If he causes any of them, we're going to be calling Crashgate on him. We have already got a couple of chats out there. Sean Benici saying good evening, looking to be a cracker tonight. Notorious Stig Fire Up, Jamie Davis fans. And Sean Benici as well saying, watch the chicane and the final hairpin, gonna be messy. We've already seen some mistakes happening from some drivers at those corners, Hutto. I think that what they've also got to be careful though is the first sector, the fast run down the hill. They've got to be careful. They're turning. They don't want to run it out too wide and cross the grass. Because not only could they get one hell of a slowdown, they could also actually come in the line of fire for some oncoming traffic as well.
Yeah, that first sector, that first right-hander into the sweeping downhill section, it's quite easy to lose the back end, especially around turn 1 and then down the bottom at hairpin. I guess drivers, there is a lot of runoff, so hopefully we don't see that many safety cars and the cars can actually pull up before they hit the wall or hit each other. But unfortunately, I am expecting carnage for the first sector especially, and other drivers to really jam their nose in when going into that little S's section and the 2 hairpins coming onto the final straight.
Well, they've already managed to make their way round the opening lap here, the warm-up lap for qualifying. Danny Davison is going to be the first driver to lead them through and start his qualifying lap here on board with him now around the final corner. As he comes up to the line, he will start his first qualifying lap here of Donington Park. When was the last time we were at this track, Hutto?
Oh, it would have been last year sometime. Well, I can double check all the stats in the background, but I'll have to get back to you on that.
That is very, very good. I do know, though, that our only previous winner is Phil Vella, who is in the field here tonight, so he'll be hoping to be the only ever winner at this track. He has got 2 attempts. He'd have to go the double to make sure that happens tonight, but with some fast drivers out there, including De Bono back in the series, Faulkner out there as well, and some others, it's going to be high pressure for Vella. I think the pro field at the moment is the most competitive it has ever been in the Super Formula Championship / Formula 3 Nationals. In our history, Hutto, I mean, this is probably the most competitive it's ever been at a pro level in quite a long while.
It is fantastic to see. There was quite some time there where the pros there was maybe, 4 to 5, and it kind of grew to about 10, regular or I guess strong drivers. But now we're looking at numbers of 16, 17. I think we've got maybe 24 drivers on the cards. Like that's almost enough to make their own session. However, we still need bums on seats. That's why we need the pro-ams and the AMs to fill out the rest of the field to give us some entertainment. But yes, you're right. This pro field is extremely tight. Will we see anyone actually pip Phil Vella tonight? I'm not sure. He was strong last week, 185 points. He got the clean sweep, did the win in race 1, race 2, and took fastest lap. However, we did see Ben Faulkner, first timer for this series. He was quickest in practice, so will we see our 30th race winner?
Well, I mean, not only Faulkner, I mean, you have to look at Danny Davison. He's been a revelation this season. He could be the 30th new race winner as well. You spoke of Phil Vella. He came around the final corner. He stuffed up his lap, Hutto. He spun it around in the final corner. In fact, it also stuffed up Faulkner's lap because he actually made contact with him on the way round, and that actually dirtied his lap. So now he has to have another attempt this time by. So at the moment, though, we have got the top 21 cars who have set laps in this qualifying session at this stage in time. Those include Danny Davison, Scott Barton, Daniel Byrne, David Gallo, Doug Gowans, Jay Dixon, Dylan De Bono, Jordan Ferguson, Matt Tessiero, and Jamie Davis makes up the top 10 at the moment. As Faulkner's just trying to find some pace in this car and put a clean lap together for himself here in qualifying. But at the moment, Daniel Byrne could be on for pole position right now, as he is P4 on the road. He just crossed the line. He's gone P2. So he actually just pipped Dylan De Bono, who had previously gone P2 over his last lap. So the times are coming in quick and fast, and Callum Rosanita has rocketed into the top 10 with a beautiful 1 minute 20.79 over that last lap, including a fastest sector in the session.
Yeah, I guess it's good to see the AMs actually making up the top 10, as we see P10, as he's just dropped down, Andrew Cowan now, the long-time commentator, and now trying his hand on track. Good to see him getting some, I guess, some early pace and some laps down early. But yeah, it's always a welcome sight to see the AMs mixing it with the pros and the pro-AMs as well.
As Cowie backs it into the wall, as we mentioned his name.
Cowie, stop listening.
He'll claim that we commentated curse him. He's done it enough times himself. Tessuero, we mentioned him, he's inside the top 10 at the moment. P2 for the amateurs. It's then only pros above the next driver on track, Callum Rosanita, who is P1 for the AMs at this stage. Times are coming in quick and fast. We are 5.5 minutes into qualifying. The only drivers yet to set times include Matt Gerard, although I lie, he has just crossed the line. Oh, no, sorry, he had crossed the line, but the time did not count. So it includes Shane Ratcliffe, Ben Faulkner, Andrew Johnson, Keegan Caldwell, Timothy Schmalenberg, Matt Gerard and Scott Pocock as well. As Rosanita looks to cross the line and put in another good time as Jordan Ferguson has now pipped Tessuero outside the top 10. So Ferguson battling for his countrymen here tonight. Of course, a man from England, he's from Manchester, does no longer live over there. In fact, he is now local to Australia, but he's fighting for dem ends, as he calls them. He's lucky he doesn't go to Alton Park, Hutto, because he'd be wanting to get a win at that track, being his home circuit.
We can't win them all, unfortunately, but yeah, best of luck to the English national one.
He's actually now been knocked out of the top 10. Ben Brooks put in a electric time in the Frog League Juice Racing car, 1 minute 20.26. Davis has now found himself inside the top 10. Vella finally finds himself inside the 10 as well, but no one is beating Danny Davidson's previous best of a 119.47. He is the man to beat at the moment in qualifying. He has the pace to prove it. And he's a bit of an unknown. He's got a bit of a Michael Cuttajar about him, Hutto, where we don't really know a whole lot about him, but he shows up and he's got pace nearly every single week.
Yeah, if my memory serves correct, he did quite well in the in round 1 of this season. I guess he made his name known, or he popped up and I guess caught our eye. Since then he's been a little bit quieter, he's just steadily getting points, but yeah, well, as Dylan DeBono just goes top just a second ago. Will we see Danny Davison and Ben Faulkner just clocks another 119, very good lap.
That's his first lap in the session. He's gone, that's his fastest so far, so good job to Ben.
But it is good to see, I guess, the pros are now starting to flex their muscles as they're taking up, 14 of the top 16 positions on this grid. And the pro-ams are starting, get into their rhythm. They're starting to take a few positions with the rest of the field, I guess, struggling for, say, track position out there.
Yeah, I think track position, getting into their rhythm, as well as being in a nice little spot in amongst the traffic that they can get a clean lap through. Not really catching too much lap traffic or anything like that around, or having a moment either. So it is tough, especially around this track. Because, you mentioned it, pretty much the first 2 or 3 sectors, you cannot get a passing move done. It's really only in this final sector you can actually get something done on other drivers. So sometimes you just got to sit there and wait for the opportunity. And in qualifying, that can kill your whole momentum. And trying to pull that together, Faulkner spun it round at the hairpin. That could be one of the spots on this track. We see quite a lot of carnage happening tonight, Hutto, as well, even Faulkner proves that he has got some chinks in his armour around this place.
Yeah, still early days. There's 8 minutes of qualifying's only passed now, and I expect the timing on the timing tower to still fill out and progress a little bit more. I don't think we've seen the quickest laps just yet, if anything's to go by.
Yeah, I think times, they're still coming down quite quickly, and there are session best sectors getting put in by certain drivers, of course. It's whether they can put the whole lap together, that's the question. One good sector's all right, but if the rest of them are nowhere near your previous best, then you're not really going to gain anything, as Faulkner's now started another lap up through the twists and turns of this Donington Park Grand Prix circuit. It's a fast-paced place here, of course. They're doing under 1 minute 20s at the top of the 10. In fact, the whole top 10 are under the 120s. They're all in the 19s. Have not seen an 18 yet, though, Hutto, in qualifying, and I expect we could see one come the end of the 15 minutes.
Well, DeBono's gone. Has he crossed the line just now?
I don't think his lap's actually counted. on that one. I reckon
No,
he's
must
having
have been
off
perhaps an invalid, yeah. But will we see someone dip into the 18s? Oh, possibly. I'm looking at Mr. Vella. He's quick. I guess we've just got to wait and see. Oh, Greg Bradley posts a time now in 1:19.85.
Yeah, so, I mean, that now makes the top 11 all in the 19s. As Sheafy's on for a personal best as well. He goes 1 minute 20.44. Was P18, but has now dropped back down to P19. Faulkner, though, has gone provisional pole by 1/100th of a second on the shrunken times, but on the extended, it is only 6,000ths of a second between him and Dylan De Bono, and that is literally just like the blink of an eye, Hutto. It's barely anything in that lap.
There's not much at all, is there? No. Is it a blink of an eye? Is it smaller than that?
Oh, maybe. The width of a hair, I don't know.
No, it should be good. Hopefully these guys race cleanly at the front. Really, I guess maybe we found the two guys that are actually going to take it to Phil Vella. As Burns actually in front of Vella as well, our currently leading the championship, Mr. Vella, and actually Mr. Byrne leading our F1 series.
Nice little 1v1. I mean, they're previous rivals in this series, of course. Although I think Phil Vella still has nightmares about Michael Cuttajar as well, who we wait to return to the series. We haven't seen him in quite a long time.
How I'd love to see him back. I was just thinking about that today. I was like, if it's the Vella show, will Mr. Cuttajar come back? Mr. Cuttajar, if you are out there, please come back. We love you.
I mean, it's like, you know, if I'm not calling Phil Vella, you know, Thanos, but if he was Thanos, it'd be like, you know, Michael Cuttajar would be like all of the Avengers coming through all the portals at the end of Endgame. You know, it's just, we've waited for you to come and put him in his place, but maybe Ben Faulkner's the one to do it as well. Who knows? Vella, though, goes P3, 119.165 over his last lap, so he's getting closer and closer to De Bono and Faulkner. And those top three cars are separated
Bono's now got
right
a bit of a slipstream as he goes down to the last half of the track. Oh no, he's just had to pull out of that one.
Yeah, I think
unfortunately
this is a cool down for him, unfortunately. If you look at the interval, it is .006 between De Bono and Faulkner, then .028 between De Bono and Vella. Like, it's barely anything. It's under 500ths of a second between all three of them. There's absolutely nothing separating them at the moment. Gowans has now moved up into P7 on the road as he has crossed the line and comes in towards turn number one. He had Dean Singovich ahead of him. Unfortunately, he's run it wide at the exit of turn one there. So now Gowans has been released for another lap here. We've got 2 minutes to go in qualifying here, Hutto, and well, Faulkner's looking like the favourite, but it is super, super tight. It could go to any one of them if they can get a whole lap together.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule any of these drivers out to just sneak one in there as De Bono's now just gone off again and re-enters. It's going to go down to the end of quali.
Yeah, I think so. I think what it's going to come down to is if they can get a lap in before, as that 15 minutes is up. If they can time it perfectly to get a fastest lap as it ticks down to about 3 seconds left at the end of the session, that may make the difference for them. But it's really going to be dependent on how the fuel load is, how the tyres are. If they're playing the strategy of getting some fuel out of the car and after 7 laps coming in and putting a fresh set on to get it back to the prime area of that tyre wear, Davison's in the pits. That might be qualifying done and dusted for him. Gallo's also in the pits as well. Davis is in, Katakazinas, Ferguson, Sheath, Benici, Tessuriero, Verney, Cowan, Rushworth, Sinkovich, Johnston, King, Rowe, Lipsky and Buckland all in the lane. That'll be qualifying over for them, Hutto, because they cannot start a new lap and get it done before the 15 minutes is up, because they'd have to do 2 travels around this place to get a new lap in, and they'll get cut off after their first one.
Correct, a sprint round. Ladies and gents, we only see a 15-minute qualifying. You cannot go past that. For a normal race, a 60-minute race, we'd see the drivers be able to cross the line just before that 15-minute mark and be able to finish their lap.
The fella's going to come around. He's going to finish his last lap of qualifying. Is it going to be good enough for pole position? It doesn't seem like it is, so he's now going to get cut off from another lap. Danny Davison, that might be an off track for him, Hutto. A little bit wide through the chicane. We'll see if the lap time counts, though, as he comes up towards the line. Round the hairpin, only one more corner to go for him, but he's only got 8 seconds to get it done. He may even get cut off before this lap is done.
It's going to be tight. Very, very tight. What are we? We're ticking over just now. There we go.
He's been cut off, unfortunately, for him. So that will bring an end to the qualifying session. Nearly everyone did a lap time at least, though, in the session, Hutto. So no one missed out who did participate. And this will be our starting grid for race number 1 of round 4 here tonight. Ben Faulkner on debut into the series will start P1 on the road ahead of Dylan DeBono in P2. Old rivals of old from the GR86s now get to meet on Wednesday nights here in the Cooler Master Super Formula Championship, and they'll start on the front row together. Then they've got Phil Vella, former champion, ahead of Danny Davison, the rising star of this season, ahead of Josh Houghton, Daniel Byrne, multiple-time champion, Doug Gowans, David Gallo, former champion, Scotty Barton, Jay Dixon, former multiple-time champion as well. So the top 10 is built up of some heavily sought-after competitors and some quick competitors as well. And it's all pros here tonight in qualifying. Greg Bradley, P11, ahead of the P1 for the Pro-Ams. Matty Gerard of Velocity Sim Labs. He'll start P12 on the road ahead of Darren Fahey. Scott Pocock in behind him, with Andrew Johnston and Callan Hodgkinson in behind him, with Shane Ratcliffe, Ben Brook making up the top 18 ahead of Jamie Davis and Sam Katakazinas. Then it'll be Jordan Ferguson, Tyler Sheaf, and Jason Depp. 3 Velocity Racing Team drivers in a row from P21 back to P23, with Sean Benici starting alongside them in P24. We then move back to Keegan Colbow, P1 on the road for the AMS in qualifying. He'll start ahead of Jack Anderson, with Callum Rossonita and Matt Tessiero in behind. Nathan Verney and Andrew Cowan will make up the top 30. Andrew Rushworth and Dean Sinkovich will start in behind, with Timothy Schmalenberg, Kevin Wakefield, Greg Johnston, Josh King making up the top 36. We then move back to Johnny Rowan debut ahead of Martin Lipsky, Phil Buckland, and Dave Roberts will not be taking part in the race here tonight. Stefan McCartan and Tyson McAvoy, our race controllers and safety car drivers here tonight. And we have to give a big shout out to Leakey, who is unfortunately having some personal issues today. We want to give our love and give him a shout out here tonight and hope that he feels better very, very soon and is back with us once again very, very soon here in SRW as well. So, but we wait for the lights to go up, Hutto, and we await to go racing for race 1 of here tonight. It's going to be Faulkner and DeBono on the front row. Could you have thought of any better of a battle to have leading the field away?
Look at that top 4. Faulkner, DeBono, Vella, Davison. Oh, turn 1's going to be hectic. If it's not at the front, it's at the back. And even, like, if we look to the rear of the field, like, the guys are around the corner.
I mean, around the corner, we have the likes of, if we can find them, who's around the corner? So Schmalenberg's right on the corner. So back from Schmalenberg, Sinkovich, Tessiero. Oh, Anderson's just met the criteria. Rossonita's, though, on the corner. So pretty much Rossonita back is on the corner here tonight, Hutto, and that's going to be a tough test from some. From P27 back to P39 are all either on the corner or around the corner for this race start, and it is going to be chaotic and tough for them to make up positions starting around there.
Turn 11 Bandits. Let's go.
Lights are up. Let's go racing for race number 1 here tonight. Faulkner to Bono on the front row of the grid. We'll see who gets the jump down towards turn 1, and if any of them have a little bit too much gas off the line, they get going and away here for Donington Park. It is green flag running down towards turn number 1. Faulkner and DeBono battle it out for the first time through turn 1 here. A couple of positions being swapped and changed throughout the field at the back. Andrew Johnson, Davis have already had an off track, as well as Depp in the background too. There looks to have been some big carnage in the background. Oh, why are we having blinking? Why are we having blinking, Hutto? Why must it happen? As Faulkner leads the way. This is annoying. I'm going to have to change some of my graphic settings. That should fix it though once I do that. But what a start here from Faulkner and DeBono at the front of the field as they start to run away.
Yeah, we can see some early movers, guys, just avoiding the carnage. Johnny Rowe up 5 positions. Nathan Verney up 3. Fantastic start for those guys.
As Faulkner leads the way at the moment. He's got DeBono in behind him. I'm going to have to... Okay, how are we going to do this here? Right, we're going to do this. So... who are you focused on at the moment, Hutto, just quickly?
I'm on Phil Buckland. I can go to
Ben
Scotty Pocock.
Go to Ben Faulkner for me.
Got it.
So let's do that. And then let's do this. So we're quickly just going to fix this. I just got to turn some settings down. It was the first time, I mean, this is the first real test we've actually had of this setup since changing some things about it, of course. So we'll make some changes. And this should fix us up. Oh, it is safety car though, I've just noticed as well. So we have got the safety car out there. Oh, and that's why there's a car on its roof apparently, Hutto. You are on replay, I think. I think you need to press live. You're a little bit further back than I am. Oh wait, no, you're not. I'm looking at the broadcast. That's why. So let me quickly just fix some of these moments. But yeah, just a big moments here off the start line, Hutto, and it's a shame for some drivers out there, but we'll see how they handle it. We are just quickly fixing this. This should now fix our issues. Let's double check it.
Yeah, it looks like...
I've got no blinking at the moment, so this is good.
Looks like Sean Benici and Keegan Caldwell called up in the chaos there, both down 6 and 7 positions each. David Gallo down 7.
Alright, so let's see what's happening
correction,
with
down
some of these
29.
drivers. So we'll get the safety car up. There we go. So what has happened here? Oh, it's Andrew Johnson, I think.
Yeah, correction. It's David Gallo and Andrew Johnson have been caught up there, minus 29 and 23 positions respectively.
Oh, just that was massive carnage.
Did call it turn 1, turn 2.
Yep. Oh, who was that actually went on
that
the
flipping
roof?
through the air?
Let's see if we can find this.
That's Josh King, is it?
It might be. It is.
It's a grey machine.
It was Josh King. So, but I believe the blinking issues have now been fixed on my end. Yeah, we're not blinking at the moment, so that's good. Just turning down some of those settings has fixed that. Who's driving it? It is Stefan McCartan tonight, Brad. As Leakey is away, so it is Stefan McCartan tonight. There we can see the top 32 cars. Eastwood Wildest. I can't be using that blink as a reckless.
Looks like we'll be going around for one more lap before we get underway again. So Hamish, I guess touch back on the number of safety cars. Mr. Cowie, he called 4 safety cars. I think that's...
He did, and he's already been involved in one incident that's caused it.
Insider trading, surely. He's putting bets on and doing it himself.
Bit of crash gate about that one, I reckon.
Terrible. Get him out of here.
Yeah.
How many do you reckon, Hamish? Like, we've already had one. It's early days. We've still got another 40-minute feature ahead of us. And I'd like to only see one more. Hopefully it's in race 2. I want to see these guys race. I think this is a fantastic track. It's a very strategic track. The first 2 sectors, you really got to wait for those moments and kind of set yourself up for the last 2 sectors to get them in at those hard braking points.
I'm going to say... I want to say 3. It could be more than that, but I want to say 3. They're looking pretty feisty off the start line. It's a massive grid. 40-odd cars out on track. It's a tough task for a lot of drivers out there. Brad, none of my team race in this series. The team that split from mine, so how it works, so my team that I have split from another team that's out there, Velocity Racing Team. So it was all one banner, Infinity Motorsport, who I race and own. It then split. Some drivers went to Velocity Racing Team, others came with me to Infinity Motorsport, and then we're still kind of conglomerated, but we don't really race with each other. So there's, I think 5. There's 5 drivers for that team out there. None of my drivers are out there though. They only race on Tuesday and Sunday for SRW, and racing the vets on Thursday. But yeah, I think though, Hutto, I want to say 3. Yeah, they're looking feisty at the moment, and they're looking like they could get into a bit of trouble. We haven't really seen them come through, the chicane and the hairpin at proper full pace at all this race.
We're going to see that.
Even went a lap.
We're going to see that very soon as the safety cars pulled away. We should see racing resume very, very shortly.
Well, hopefully we are going to get some clean green running in this race, as Faulkner is going to control the field across the line here off the restart. He's got DeBono in behind him, as well as Vella, who has now jumped Danny Davidson. We look ahead to the start of this race. Faulkner has gone green off the restart here, ahead of Dylan DeBono, Phil Vella, Danny Davidson, Daniel Byrne. That's the top 5 for the moment. But it's the Vermilion Motorsports driver on debut who has led from the start. He started on pole. He's already leading the way as Matt Gerard's now had an off track in the background, but he is back going again for Velocity Sim Labs. He's just outside the top 10 in behind Fahey and Bradley at the moment, but the battle packs are everywhere. Do this to me. iRacing, why? It's a tough game sometimes. Josh Houghton's now made up a position.
Davison's.
Yeah, he's gone. Where's he gone? Oh, he's in the wall and in the sand.
Well, hopefully he can get that going and get back to pits so we can keep the racing going. Oh, DeBono has a sniff.
Some more cars off in the background at the moment. I think was that Schmellenberg? No, I think not even Ferguson. There's just cars going off left, right and centre right now, Hutto, and we don't really know where to look in terms of some of these battles right now.
There's action all through the pack, but definitely the front 3, they're within, 0.4 of a second of each other. Faulkner, DeBono and Vella. This is what you should be watching.
Yeah, the battle at the front end of town is super, super close right now. You see DeBono putting all sorts of pressure on Faulkner, who's now put it off the track.
They go 3 wide.
Oh my God, they're all together, still up the hill. Oh my God, these guys are not giving anything up right now as Faulkner leads this battle to Phil Vella and Dylan DeBono. DeBono, though, has a slowdown, has to let Daniel Byrne past him as they look to continue this fight forward. The battle is continuing. I think, Hutto, we may need to stop the Discord screen share, and you just may need to slave off me if that's okay.
That is more than fine.
That is what is using all of my GPU right now.
Right, let's do it.
Instantly fixed it. Instantly. That's all right.
Anyway, show must go on.
The show must go on indeed, as Faulkner now leads the way. So you just change your SDK to commentator copy broadcast. So Faulkner leads to Phil Vella, Daniel Byrne, Dylan DeBono, Scotty Barton. That is now the top 5 on track, ladies and gentlemen, and they have started to spread out just a little bit. We have got Darren Fahey off the track in the background, so they're cutting grass all around this place here, Hutto, and it's kind of looking like a lawnmower race right now. They have cut that many weeds out there. We are in the UK. I wonder if groundskeeper Willie's racing tonight, because it's like all the drivers are seeing some big patches of grass as DeBono's now run it wide, as well as Scotty Barton, so if they had it coming together too. What has happened to them? Oh, they were side by side. Ooh, yep, they've had it coming together, and that is a disappointing one.
Both drivers, both in the top 5 then. Disappointing for both.
Not what you want to see, unfortunately. As Faulkner and Vella, the 1v1 is now happening at the front end of the field. Oh, this is what we've been waiting for. Someone to challenge Phil Vella, but once he's in his racing groove, Hutto, it's like no one can touch him, as he's putting all sorts of pressure right now on the back of Ben Faulkner as they battle on through the first sector of this track. And I mean, this place, no matter if you hate it or you like it, it always offers up something in terms of wheel-to-wheel racing, doesn't it?
Absolutely, and I think, as you just shown, Byrne and Gowans, we're hoping Ben Faulkner can just hold up Phil Vella for as long as possible so they can try and get on the back of P1, P2. But I've got a feeling as soon as Vella gets past Faulkner, no one will catch him.
Yeah, he is just a cut above the rest, and if we were ever going to go to 2 splits, I feel like he would get in just on merit into split 1. I mean, we wouldn't even need him to pre-qualify, surely.
Well, he's only the most decorated driver for our open wheeler series we've been running here at SRW, with I think over 30 wins perhaps.
Oh, he is. I mean, and it is amazing how dominant he has actually been, like in this series. It's amazing how dominant someone can be in these cars. And if there was anyone that we wanted to represent us in that end of season Australian Open Wheel Championship, surely it's Phil Vella.
He'd definitely be a front runner, but I think that's a testament to not just Phil Vella but DFR as well. Yes, he's quick and he's dominating series have gone by, but he's willing to share his knowledge with other drivers. Like, I'm sure there are other teams like asking for tips, and he's passing on knowledge and a few bits and pieces there, because everyone wants to go that little bit quicker. And I think that's a fantastic thing that the guys are working collaboratively, even though they're I guess opponents on the racetrack. It's fantastic to see.
So just so all the viewers out there know, I don't have my browser open at the moment, but I have got my phone open on the stream, so I can check the chat once again. I just don't want to have too much stuff open on my computer as I track my task manager and make sure that nothing is bottlenecking at the moment. But it's tough. It's tough to have all these things right when you're testing it for the first time. But let's have a look at some other battles at the moment. We have got Greg Bradley and Jay Dixon quite close in behind at the moment. This is a battle for the top 5 right now. And what I have noticed is, ever since Dixon has been away from a couple of seasons, he's come back and he's not quite up to scratch of what he previously has been. He's kind of battling mid-top 10, which is still good. But he's, I don't
think that's the case. I think the rest of the pack have caught up.
It's very true as well.
The time away, we've also had a change of car going from the Lara F3 to the Super Formula Light on season 2. I think, as you've probably previously spoken about, this car definitely suits the beginner a lot more. There's a back end's a lot more stable. However, I think that's condensed, I guess, the field in a sense. So, do I think Jay slipped? No. Do I think the rest of the pack and the other drivers have, I guess, caught up, or it's leveled out the playing field a bit? Yes, I think that's what I think is the case.
Yeah, I think he is. But I think we have previously mentioned of being how these cars are better on the low end as Dixon goes from real to the inside of Gowans, gets it done. P5 on the road, but Gowans is not going to let him get away with it too easily. I suspect there will be a counter attack at some point by the Grandpa. What I think is happening is, and I've previously mentioned this a lot, both you and I agree, at the lower level, this car is able to raise the game of the slower drivers previously in the Formula 3, but at the top end, it is hard for the faster guys to find a lot of pace over their competitors. They're quite condensed at the top end in terms of trying to find a 10th or 2 tenths or even hundredths on some tracks. I mean, tonight, just trying to find a 1,000th for the top 3 was almost impossible for them to get an advantage over one of their opponents.
I think it's 1,000th. Phil Vella's still just 0.2 of a second behind Faulkner. Faulkner doing a fantastic job to hold off Vella right now.
Yeah, I mean, it is amazing how much more condensed this car has made the entire field. And I think, if you'd had conversations about 2 splits for the old F3, I don't think you could really make the argument as much as you can now for these cars because of how closely contested the field is and how much I think better it is for drivers at the back end of the field and actually keeping those consistent drivers all throughout the grid and having consistent 30 to 40 grid sizes. So I think it's been fantastic since we changed cars, Hutto. And I think this car actually came at the perfect time for us as well, to give us an opportunity to change. Not only with wet weather, but also just changing over to having a new car after so long, but a new challenge for some of these drivers as well. And it's almost been a little bit of sink or swim for some drivers out there.
Well, even when we announced the changing of the cars, a few drivers had their reservations, you know, like any new product or any sort of change you make. Some guys are a bit wary, but I think after having a season and a half now of racing these vehicles, it's been a fantastic change. Unfortunately, yes, the Dallara F3 will have a place in my heart, but this Super Formula Light's just makes such good racing.
It really does. It makes me hungry to see a full-fledged Super Formula Championship in the big brother.
Goes up the inside. Is he defending a Phil Vella? We need to get a wider shot of this there. Hamish?
Yeah, let's
see. This fella's dropped off half a second now.
Yeah, he has. Has he copped a slowdown? Possibly.
Perhaps not.
No, he's tightened right back up through the hairpin.
Well, the pack's starting to just slowly space themselves out. Faye's hot on the back of Greg Bradley there, as we see this little train developing. And who are we there? Jamie Davis in P13.
Yep.
Who's in the hunt for P10? Well. Who's in the hunt for P10? Where are we? Where's
there's the Bono.
Where's Shane? So they'll be trying to chase down Shane Ratcliffe there, who holds provisional pole position for race 2.
And I almost guarantee you there'll be some team orders between De Bono and Ratcliffe here of who actually gets P10 on the road. Surely De Bono has to say to him, boy, come on, just don't, come on, just give me the spot.
Well, in saying that, the overall points. Let's have a look. Let's see where. Dylan's still down in P25, and his teammate. Where are we, Mr. Shane Ratcliffe? It's not jumping out at me. Who knows? We might see team orders. Oh, who's gone around here now?
Sean Benici.
Benici
at the final corner. So what has happened to Sean? He's got one of your teammates on his inside. That might be Tim Schmalenberg.
Yeah, Tim Schmalenberg.
Up towards the final corner. Oh, Benici's
He's just
cooked it. Yeah, way too wide. Oh my God.
Must have clipped the grass there, I think, with the rear right.
Yeah, a bit of grass. That's just what's kind of over-rotated him a little bit.
Lucky not to have caused something a bit hairier, actually.
Yeah, he's very lucky. We talk about overalls, overall championships. Well, if we look at Dylan De Bono, who's P25 in the championship, let's just look at who's on the bubble right now. He's got Callan Hodgson in behind him, who's on the bubble, same as Katakazinos, and then a bit further back is Tessiero and Schmalenberg. So he is actually gaining on the drivers who are within that top 20 hunt right now between P18 and I think it's 23 in the championship. So he is gaining on them at this point, and if he beats them all, whether that be by one position or 10 or more over the next couple of rounds, well, he could find himself in that top 20 still.
Yeah, I don't think he'll have too much trouble actually making that top 20. He'll just chalk up the results, even a P11 for this race, and then whatever result comes after this. I don't think he'll. I think he'll be safely inside that top 20. We've seen previous results. He missed out on a championship only just last season. And saying that those top 20 positions, I think when it comes down to round 8, round 9, it's going to be very, very tight.
Well, right now, though, he has got massive pressure from Callan Hodgkinson, who's going to go for a move here down towards the chicane. He's going to try and hang the outside line. Oh, my God, that nearly ended in absolute tears and agony.
Well, now he's got Jamie Davis hot on his heels.
Yep, and he's side by side with him down in towards the hairpin. Davis has got him, but they've interlocked wheels, and into the wall goes to Bono. That's going to be a tow back to pits for sure. Oh, no, he's going to drive it back. We are in the final moments of this race. We're on the final lap, Hutto. Faulkner does lead to Daniel Byrne. Somehow Phil Vella's dropped off the back of him, so he's obviously had a bit of a moment somewhere. He's had an off-track previous. But Faulkner right now, through no controversy of his own, is on for a debut win and to become the 30th winner in the Super Formula /F3s in SRW.
We need a much better view to see him come across for, I guess, his first race victory here at SRW Open Wheelers.
Oh, don't worry, we will get a fantastic view of that one. Don't you worry about that, Hutto. I've got a camera set right up on the finishing line so we can see him cross the line for the first time as a winner here on Wednesday nights. It's been somewhat of a dominant performance to Faulkner. He's taken it to Phil Vella here in race number 1. Built a nice gap over Daniel Byrne as he comes round the final corner. for the final time in race number 1. And Ben Faulkner is going to take the win for the first time here on Wednesday nights. Byrne and Gowans are going to come across the line in P2 and P3. Dixon right on the back of Gowans here. Vella's going to make up the top 5 with Bradley, Fahey, Houghton, Pocock, and Ratcliffe makes it into the top 10 and crucially will start pole position in the next race.
Fantastic results there by all drivers. I guess the surprise bracket being Faulkner on debut here. Will we? And Phil Vella's just dropped down to 5th. That's interesting.
Yeah, he had an off track apparently, but Cowan's had an incident with, I believe, Caldwell here. What has happened with both of them? He was down. Where was this? Down towards the chicane. Oh, Caldwell's trying to go for it. Oh, what is it? Was that the hairpin?
Oh, I think Cowie's just looped it there and unfortunately tagged Caldwell.
Either looped or maybe they had one of those weird incidents where they lock wheels and because Cowie's trying to rev it to go forward, it's then counter spun it on the other wheel. It's a real weird one.
Yeah, unfortunate.
We'll see what race control say about it. Of course, they have the honour of reviewing those incidents, but Ben Faulkner, what a run from him here in race number 1. A phenomenal running on debut. Byrne on the podium as well as Gowans as we get into the warm-up session. I reckon we have to drag in Cowie actually and just ask him what the hell happened on that final corner.
Yeah, go on, get him in here.
Mr. Cowan, what happened with you and Caldwell there at the hairpin? Because that looked like one of those weird incidents where you interlocked wheels, and because you've given it some, it's just self-spun it around on his wheel.
Yeah, I was just having a look at it now. Probably just a racing incident, I think, but that cost me a few spots. Certainly an eventful race. I was just trying to stay clear of all of the mess. And Troy spotted me, and he actually gave me the right way to go around to the left at T1, and I went right. And got myself in a heap of troubles. But look, that was good fun, but the pace is, you know, like in that mid-pack, it's hard to get any sort of advantage on someone, so you're almost relying on a little mistake, and then that creates its own hairy moments because you're catching them at such a speed differential.
How are you finding the traffic out there, Cowie, in that mid-pack? Is it really condensed? Do you have to really pick your moments, or how are you seeing it down there?
Yeah, look, as I said, I think it's like when towards the end of that race, I had a pack in front of me that I was only a little bit quicker then, and so, you know, I don't know if they were benefiting from the tow a little bit, but from what it looks to me, it's those check-up points. You know, if guys are battling and someone, you know, gets a little bit sideways, then they've got to get out of the gas, and it just checks everything up, and I think that's what's causing those incidents, because when you're racing that close, you just don't have time to react.
Well, Cowie, how do you feel being really put in here as a trial by fire? I reckon you need to write a new song now, just titled Trial by Fire. Because you're putting yourself in at the deep end now, coming into super formulas and really actually putting to question a lot of things that you've said on the broadcast previously about these cars and whether they're actually truthful or not.
Well, look, it's still early days, but, you know, same thing we've talked about before. I don't think they're a super hard car to drive, but they're a super hard car to drive fast because it's really finding the edge of grip and where the car really wants to turn in. It does take probably about 3 or 4 laps for the tyres to really get into that zone. So early on in the race, you know, even you'll see guys pushing, and they're not terrible like the old F3 was for a lap, but it still takes 3 or 4 laps before you get that optimal temperature, and when that comes in, that's where you're seeing the pros just stepping it up another level because they're sending it through the corner, the car's sticking, and the rest of us have no idea how they're doing it.
So how long is it taking you to actually get comfortable in this car? I mean, we mentioned that it's all right for guys at the back to kind of get a bit more comfortable, but it's harder for guys at the front to really find those slight little bits of pace over their competitors. Has it taken you long to actually feel comfortable in this car at this point?
Well, not initially, because it's one of those cars, high downforce, you know, it sticks to the road, and, you know, I suppose early on, It's all about sort of finding where it sticks, how it sticks. And, I mean, you go through so many philosophical changes between the cars and driving techniques. But if you overthink that, then, you know, you're just going to get yourself into trouble on track. So, you know, tonight it's just about trying to stay alive, get in amongst it, battle with the boys. Had a couple of really good battles there with Scotty Barger, and I think I even pulled a pretty good move on David Gallo there at one stage. So I was pretty happy with that. But that's what it's all about, just getting out there, mixing it, and seeing if I can compete with the guys at the back and have a bit of fun.
Well, mate, we love to hear that, of course. We'll let you go and get prepared for race number 2. 40 more minutes of driving for you around Donington Park. Best of luck for that one. We look forward to seeing how you go. We may even drag you in if we get another safety car for that race.
Oh, well, I called 4 for the race, so we've had, what, 2?
Yeah. Well, have
4
we,
for the
no,
2
no,
races.
No, have we had 2? I thought there was only one.
We only had one. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cowie,
Three in this race, then.
stop fixing the odds, mate. We're on to you. We're watching.
Oh, no, it felt like we were going to have carnage there.
It was pretty big carnage early on, but they settled in a little bit for the midpoint.
Well, I saw a car flip on its roof there at one point, so...
Yeah, that was what caused the safety car. Good old Josh King, unfortunately, ending on the air intake. But we'll let you get out of here, Cowie. Best of luck in race 2. We look forward to seeing how you go.
Thanks, Chance.
Thanks, mate.
Well, Hamish, as we see the, I guess, the feature race just about to flash up in front, Cowie touched on something important there, was like getting in there and just mixing it and keeping it clean. I think that's actually quite important for our Pro-Am and AM drivers tonight, being able to just negate all the damage and pick up just valuable points where they can, because all those points are going to help them at the back end of the season. As we've seen, you know, championships decided by less than 10 points. It's these little races now are going to be very important.
Well, we look at last season and the championship that was won by Dave Roberts. He was an outside edge into the final race, but he did what he had done all season, and he had run the consistent race, and that's what he needed to do. It's what he did throughout the majority of last season, and that's how he won the championship. He wasn't involved in anything massive. He was where he needed to be in the final round, and he got the chocolates on the day, just based on the fact that he never really finished outside the top 10 that often last season, and that's how they're going to be able to gain good points over their competitors, is by getting those consistent finishes, even if it's just a top 15 or, you know, at the back end of the top 10. Those are going to be crucial for them come the season's end, and it could see them inside that top 20 for the Australian Open Wheel Championship. But we move on now to the grid for race number 2. It'll be Shane Ratcliffe on pole position here ahead of Scott Pocock in P2. They'll have Josh Houghton and Darren Fahey lining up in behind. Greg Bradley and Phil Vella will start on the third row of the grid, with Jay Dixon and Doug Gowans in behind them. Daniel Byrne and Ben Faulkner will then make up the top 10, as the rest of the grid will be how they finished in race number 1, with Callan Hodgson, Benjamin Brook, Tyler Sheaf, Jamie Davis, Nathan Verney making up the top 15, Callum Rosanita, Danny Davidson, Sam Katakazinos, Matthew Gerard and David Gallo making up the top 20, Dean Singovich, Scotty Barton, Jason Depp, Matt Tessiero, back to Jordan Ferguson for the top 25. Timothy Schmalenberg, Sean Benici, Martin Lipsky, Kevin Wakefield and Andrew Rushworth will make up the top 30, with Johnny Rowe, Keegan Caldwell, Andrew Cowan, Dylan DeBono and Greg Johnston making up the top 35, with Andrew Johnston back in P36, Josh King, Phil Buckland and Jack Anderson at the back of the field. Once again, Stefan McCartan and Tyson McAvoy, our race controllers here for race number 2.
Yeah, the pressure will be on Shane Ratcliffe for this start. You look at that lineup sitting behind him, 9 pros. Oof.
Oh, it's going to
be Shane.
Oh, it's going to be maximum pressure. And, you know, all credit to Shane. He has some good lap pace about him. He's had some consistent runs before, but he has also been known to crack under the pressure from time to time. And he is going to have full pressure on him right now, leading into turn 1. We know how chaotic it was lap 1 of the last race, and I would not want to be in Shane's position right now, ahead of arguably probably the 9 fastest drivers, or 9 of the fastest drivers we have on the track, who will be hungry to make positions up. But they'll also be hungry to battle each other as well throughout the rest of this race. So this is going to be a tough task for Shane. Like Cowie, he is getting trial by fire at the moment. As we just await the rest of the cars to get on the grid. So we're waiting on Josh Houghton, Darren Fahey, Daniel Byrne, Callan Hodgson, Tyler Sheaf, Sam Katakazinis, Scotty Barton, Jason Depp, Matt Tessiero, Martin Lipsky, Andrew Rushworth, Dylan DeBono, Phil Buckland to get onto the grid for us here for race number 2. Hutto, how do you see race 2 going after watching through race 1?
I think fuel's going to be quite pivotal. I think this tank only lasts them half the length of the race. So if a safety car is called, you know, they'll be able to conserve a little bit. But yeah, I don't think there's going to be much room for undercut or overcut here today.
Were you able to lock down when we were last at this track, Hutto?
Yes, February 22, 2023.
Oh wow, so more than a year ago at this point.
Yes, a long time between drinks.
As the gridding is getting up, I wasn't even calling that race actually. That was before I even came to SRW. Lights are up though. We get to go racing for the final time here tonight. Ratcliffe and Pocock on the front row of the grid as we have got green flag running down towards turn number 1. And they all start to spread out down towards such a dangerous part of this track early on as Houghton's already putting the pressure over Pocock, as well as Fahey and Bradley in behind. But Ratcliffe has actually had quite a good start off the line here, Hutto, as McAvoy, Mr. Tyson race controller, is already over the radio for whatever reason, as Ratcliffe is struggling with the pressure right now at the front of the field.
Yes, like we said earlier, wouldn't want to be in his boots, but as the pros are lurking, he's just got to do his best to try and keep it clean and, yeah, try and survive these next 40 minutes.
Swapping and changing positions in the background. So many cars all over the track at the moment, as Houghton's already up into P2 now to put the pressure on Ratcliffe down towards the chicane. Of course, he has Pocock in behind him. Faulkner's already up into P7 off this start. He's surpassed Byrne, Dixon and Gowans here as Ferguson is dropping down the order in the background. It's because he's caught out on the inside line of this corner. He's just trying to have a clean, consistent run here at the back of the field as Danny Davison's had an incident up ahead of him. What has happened? Well, he's on the inside of the corner, and well, Ferguson's having to take some evasive action right now, Hutto, as Davison has just rejoined. As they make their way around to start lap number 2.
Oh, that was close.
There is so much wheel-to-wheel action.
That could have ended in tears.
That really could have. Get the tissues out, because someone could have been bawling their eyes out on the side of the track just then. This is getting quite feisty throughout the mid-pack here, Hutto. That's where all the action's happening right now as Faulkner gets past Vella. Barton is trying to offload Jason Depp, who again has been one of those revelations this season amongst his class. He's been having quite a consistent run here on Wednesday nights, has old Jason. He's got a couple of incidents to his name, but he's been doing quite well.
Yeah, it's always good to see a newcomer, you know, shake things up amongst the regulars. As we see a bit of smoke up ahead.
That's his teammate Tyler Sheaf going slow. Why was Sheaf? Yeah, he's had a bit of an off track, I think. He's running a bit wide. No, not the best. That was Sheafy who had gone off.
Well, Dean Sinkovich is mixing, but that's a name here.
Oh my God! What has happened to Timothy Schmalenberg in the background? I just saw a JWM car pogo sticking off the side of the road, and I'm like, wait, no, Hutto's not out there. He's in the comms box. What has happened to Tim? And this might be a safety car though, here, Hutto, because that was massive.
Doesn't look good for Tim at all. If it brings out the safety car, I guess we'll wait and see.
What's happened? He's in behind Bono. Oh, he's had Davison on his inside. Oh my God. Wow.
He's on his lip.
Yeah.
That'll be a safety car for sure.
That was huge. Absolutely huge from him there as Ratcliffe comes up over the hill. Schmalenberg, I think, is still parked up, so I think we are going to get that safety car. Where is McCartan? He's not out on track. I believe he is in the car, though. He is. He's waiting in the pit lane, so this will be a Warren and Brown Tools safety car here for race number 2. Do we see anyone coming in at this point, Hutto, just to take a quick little splash of fuel?
Absolutely not. I think the tank, like I said, it's only going to last about half the race. So the guys won't be looking to come in, I guess, now with this safety car, maybe the 25-minute mark. They still could come in at the 20-minute mark. They'll be able to use their full tank, but it's anyone's guess as to how many safety cars will be out there. But yeah, it's fantastic to see, like, Shane Ratcliffe still at the front. He'll get a bit of a breather now as they reset and go again. I'm sure he'll be big sigh of relief hearing that safety car call.
Did we expect him to last this long in P1?
I think
realistically,
you know what? Realistically, unfortunately, no. However, I want it to happen. I think it was only several races ago, we saw someone go. Mitch Noble at where were we? Misano. He held the front for several laps there. There was a couple restarts here and there, but Noble showed good pace, just as Ratcliffe is today. He's showing good pace at the front. I hope it lasts as long as it can, really.
Well, the problem is, though, with Noble last week, he unfortunately made a mistake and that cost him a lead. If Ratcliffe can keep this clean, he could hang on for a little while. I mean, it's difficult to pass, as we mentioned, through this middle part of the track. The only real passing opportunities are, I mean, you could argue the chicane, the hairpin, and then turn 1, pretty much. So you kind of have to wait in limbo for the majority of the lap just to get an opportunity at him. He could just drive a consistent run, and if someone goes for something and they make a mistake, he could build a gap quite easily out there, again, if he can just hit his marks and keep consistent laps running.
Well, we've seen the top guys make mistakes already. Guys trying to show the nose up the inside and the door gets closed, or they just make a little bit of contact and go off. It'd be a fantastic result to see Ratcliffe inside the top 5. I think inside the top 10 would be a fantastic result for him.
He is having internet issues, though, because he did just blink, and that was not a me blink, that was an internet blink. So he would be hoping his connection can stay consistent here throughout this race, because you'd have to feel for him if he had to give it up based on, either dropping out because of blinking or dropping out due to packet loss.
Yeah, you never want to see that. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things that we can't quite control. Like, as much as we want to have the best internet out there, sometimes, I guess, the real world occurs and, your internet just drops out. And, it's a gutting way to go out, really.
I was just checking that my Kiawi was dropping to the back of the field. I think maybe he's just playing the smart game, let some other drivers go. He's just trying to run consistent right now and not wanting to take too many risks off this restart. He is at the back of the field where we know there is chaos, and when there's already been chaos in this race, we know that the modern perpetrators, I guess, or the consistent perpetrators normally end up back there, so he could be in dangerous waters right now at the back of the field. So, Hutto, as a man who has... you've won a race, haven't you?
Yes, lay my claim to one race victory. It was not spectacular, but a win's a win nonetheless.
Okay, so as a Pro-Am who has led a lap against pros, what do you think is going through the mind right now of Shane Ratcliffe on this restart?
Essentially, your heart is pounding through your chest. You're trying to compose yourself for the next lap. You're thinking about, when am I going to go? I wouldn't be surprised as soon as he gets around that final corner at turn 11, he's going. He's got to go. He's trying to make as much distance as he can. But essentially, your white knuckles, you're just trying to hit your markers, trying not to think about the cars behind you. It is a tough job trying to, I guess, compartmentalize like your race versus what's actually happening behind you. It's nerve-wracking. It really is.
Yeah, it's a position that not a lot of drivers get to be in, especially in a lower class than the top class of the race, of course. But oh god, it is nerve-wracking when you're under restart even not in first position, even in the mid-pack, and you've got a faster driver behind you. That can be nerve-wracking as well. Unless you've made the decision already that you're just going to let them go and battle somebody else, and hopefully you'll pick up the pieces of any incidents that can occur. Oh, but it is such a tough position to be in. They're obviously, they're trying to warm up their tyres. It doesn't really do much actually in the sim to weave down the straight, but they're trying to keep it, as realistic as possible.
Yeah, like you see, like you said, sorry, guys trying to stay consistent sort of thing. And I think one of those guys, the drivers that sticks out for me, is Matt Tessariero. Unfortunately, he's dropped down a few positions this evening, but he's one of those guys that normally, just chips away and picks up a few points, or, I guess even for the lower class as well, letting those faster guys past, knowing that they'll be able to, see another day. They're not going to have an incident going into a corner, and if someone up in front makes a mistake, they're going to get those points for free.
Got Steph Piccoli in the chat, still giving her love to Team Apex, of course. I do believe their highest seeded driver at the moment is we're going to go for another lap under safety car. I think their highest seeded driver at the moment is, in fact, Mr. Andrew Rushworth, who's back in P25 at the moment. He has got, though, Jack Anderson in behind him, who has gained the most positions in this race. He's currently up 13 positions from the back of the field, inside the top 30 cars out there, and he has got a blinking Rushworth ahead of him. But just up the road is also Dylan DeBono, who's currently up 12 positions, as some
guys
drivers...
coming into the pit just now, Jack Anderson and Jordan Ferguson.
And
Who else?
Barton
Scotty
as well.
Barton's in the pit.
Yep. So maybe they know something, you know, maybe they think if they can save some fuel and we get more safety cars, they might be able to make it home for me. They're going for a bit of a gamble, but we'll see if it pays off.
They're going to have to wait for the rest of the rest of the pack to go past the start-finish line. That's going to put them right at the back. That's not really what they wanted.
They're already you know, past them. So they're with Scotty Barton. He'll push his way through the field. So, well, I mean, it's a bit of a gamble, but I think if you've had a poor race one, it's worth taking that little dice roll, especially if you're towards the back already, Hutto. I think they're not inside the top 10 just yet. Yes, Anderson have made up some good spots. But realistically, with the possibility of more carnage to come, I mean, if he gets, what, 2 more safety cars, even 1 more, they might be on here for a positive position without needing another pit stop if they can save the fuel.
Well, let's say a fuel tank lasts, was it 20 minutes? 20 to 25 minutes? Oh, it's going to be tight. If
we've already gone 5 minutes under this safety car, though. That's the thing. We've already gone, what, 3 laps? Like,
surely the safety car will have to be in at the end of this one.
It'd have to.
Racing again.
Yeah, it has to. I mean, we've been under it for 5 minutes. The lights are out. So, you know, we were under it for 5 minutes for 3 laps. If they get another one of those, they're on wood for actually making it home on their fuel.
I guess we'll see the gamblers out there. Let's see who can get it over the line. Have the guys who've just pitted, have they just made a master stroke move?
We've had a couple of chats. We've had a couple of chats here just quickly before the restart. Gordon McCulloch saying Shane Ratcliffe P1, bloody hell, well done, keep it up. He actually started on pole after finishing P10 in race number 1. Marcus Knitz in the chat as well saying that's definitely a gamble. Might need 2 more safety cars. We'll have to wait and see if it pays off for them. I think it's worth a dice roll at this point with the bit of chaos we've had so far. I mean, both safety cars have been caused by cars stuck on their air intakes. As Ratcliffe comes around the final corner, and he has gone green off the exit, but Houghton has stayed with him here off the restart as we get racing once again. Hutto down towards turn number 1 once again. We can see Faulkner is hungry for positions in behind, but he's going to try and get past Phil Vella and then Scott Pocock as well, as Faulkner's actually gone off. Where is he? He's gone off at turn 1. So it looks like he's gone for it, and it has absolutely gone tits up for Ben Faulkner. What has happened? Oh, they had slight contact with the wheels. That was Dixon and Faulkner. And then he has ended up off the track and in the sand. And I think he might still be there at the moment, Hutto. I don't know. No, he's towed back to pits, so that'll be a penalty for him if race control have not allowed him to do so. Unfortunately, Jason Depps ended up off the track as well, facing the wrong way round. You hate to see it for one of the more consistent drivers in the field. But he's now going to end up at the back with his teammates who have previously just come out of the pits. So he's only going to go further back now because he still needs that pit stop in this race. Oh, it's amazing how much a safety car for 5 minutes can completely just, you know, turn off the minds, as there's been an incident in the background with Wakefield and Cowan, I do believe it was. Where are they? There they are at the chicane, and it's massive death.
There's wings and feathers everywhere, yeah.
Oh, it looks like a bird going into a fan. They've just dropped their wings all over the place. What has happened? So Cowie was trying to possibly line something up on it. It was Wakefield and Caldwell ahead of him. If they had a coming together and Cowie's been caught up, that is exactly what has happened. So Cowie unfortunately had nowhere to go there, and that is unfortunate for him, you'd have to say. He's just a passenger.
That'll be one for race control to dissect and figure that one out as they take their pit stop now. And I guess they're almost inside the pit window now. I think my calculations had it at about 25 minutes, 24 minutes, this tank lasting. And don't forget, it's not when this race just hits the 40-minute mark. We've got 1 lap, I guess, finishing after the 40-minute mark. So
well, it really depends when they actually cross the line, doesn't it? I mean, if they cross the line with a minute left, and they're going to finish with about 20 seconds after the 40, but Josh Houghton, though, has now taken the lead from Shane Ratcliffe, so thanks to a safety car, Ratcliffe did last 14 minutes in the lead, as Bradley's now found his way past Mr. Darren Fahey up into the podium position, as Vela's also involved too. So Bradley doing an exceptional job right now for Andreg. Anderson, though, is going slow through the chicane. I think he may have had a slight half spin because he hasn't really gone off the track. I think he's possibly just pulled it up and then had to keep going again.
Yeah, the packs are starting to...
I mean, this chicane has already got... Oh, yep. That's exactly what happened. So a big old compression lock at the back of the car and absolutely
no damage, no contact, so play on.
Yep, that's exactly right. No one else was involved as well, importantly. It was all a self-spin. As Houghton continues on his merry way at the front of the field. The only Vermilion car inside the top 10. Ben Faulkner is back out there, but he may find himself even further back if he does indeed cop a penalty for towing without permission. Did you hear a call over the radio, Hutto, for him calling for a tow?
Unfortunately, I missed that one. I was just a bit caught up in the restart, so yeah.
Oh, well, we'll see what happens. We'll see what Race Control says. As Rowan Barton having a nice little tussle right now. Of course, Rowe on debut in the series for Velocity Racing Team. He's battling one of the former multiple-time winners, as well as your teammate who was a lap down in Timothy Schmalenberg, as Greg Bradley's now gone round at the final corner. There are cars off everywhere here at the moment, Hutto, and Bradley's going to pull it into the pits. He may be able to get home from here, though, at this point, especially with that safety car.
Yeah, I think now the guys are inside the window now, that 25-minute window. Anyone who pits from now should be able to get home, as we see Dean Sinkovich also pulling into pits.
Yeah, well, we've had a comment from Ben Faulkner saying, well, shame, go Joshy. Go Joshy. Oh, Ben, I mean, you had a great race one, mate. Unfortunate that ended early for you in race number 2, as Bradley Sinkovich and Rushworth and Wakefield are all in the pit lane. Hope to see you here once again next week, Ben. You had some good pace out there, mate. Hopefully you can find your footing and continue some good running here on Wednesday nights. But your teammate right now, Josh Houghton, is looking well in control, but he has got a hungry and, well, fast Phil Vella slowly catching him up at the moment with around about 23 minutes to go in this race, Hutto. So I reckon Phil catches him before the end and we get a nice little battle for P1 here.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how everyone takes the pit strategy now. Now we're inside that pin window, like I've said. If you're being held up by another car, surely someone's going to pit early just to try and make that undercut and get around them through their pit strategy.
Oh, I think Matt Gerard and Jack Anderson have had an incident. I've seen Gerard tow back to pits, so could be an incoming penalty for him. Oh my God, what has happened? Oh my God. Oh, no, he hasn't towed back without permission. He's found the door to the Shadow Realm.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. You never want to see that between the drivers.
As Anderson tried to bring him back on, let's just quickly get it. I want an onboard of that because that was huge. What has happened? So they've interlocked wheels. Oh, oh, that's a tough one. They're both trying to make their way through the corner. Gerard's tried to find a line for it. It's just one of those things that happen. Faulkner saying, yeah, well, probably would have if Mr. Bella didn't do dodgy stuff. We didn't really, I mean, we can't really comment on it. We only got one view. From the view that we saw, I don't know, it's too tough to comment on. They're saying it was a good race anyway. Thanks for the stream, boys. Well, thank you for participating, Ben. We appreciate it. You ran a strong race in race 1, and you know, Ben is looking like a proper contender against the likes of Phil Vella and others who are consistent in this series right now, Hutto, and really could be a challenger for a championship in future if he can run a whole season.
Absolutely, Hamish. Like we said earlier, the pro field is quite deep with talent this season, and Ben adding to it again this week just shows that this season's and this series is getting stronger and stronger.
Well, how many pros do we have now? What is it, 24?
24, I think we've got on the books now.
Oh, it's ridiculous how many pros we have in this field. Pro-Ams, though, this battle is heating up between Nathan Verney, Tyler Sheaf, and former Pro-Am Sam Katakazinos, who's currently back in P14, P10 for his class. They've got P1 for the M's, Callum Rossonita just up the road, as well as Dylan DeBono, who finds himself 22 positions up from where he started this race in an absolutely unbelievable performance right now from Dylan DeBono. They've also got P3 and Ben Brook for the Pro-Ams. Cullen Hodgson's in P2 for the Pro-Ams. And Ratcliffe further up the road, he still remains P1 for that Pro-Am field. So, again, if he can run this consistent race, he could still get a class win here, Hutto, and could be on for quite a good chunk of points over his competitors.
Final course, who goes spinning in the background there?
That was Pocock. He was going for it on Ratcliffe there. What has happened? We can see here he's gone for the inside run. Big old dive. Oh, Pocock didn't even see him there. He had no idea the nose was in at the inside of the corner.
Guess we'll let RC unpack that one as well. See what comes of it.
Of course, they can look at it from a multitude of angles. I had the pleasure of sitting in RC last Wednesday for this series, and it is quite in-depth how many times you have to look at some incidents just to see any little angles, any little bit of net code that could be involved, anything that could occur. You have to look at major detail just to see all of the little pins and points of incidents that happen out on the track. I mean, especially with some of the big blow-ups that happened last week in Misano, we spent upwards of 15-20 minutes on some incidents just trying to figure out what exactly has happened for them and having to actually come to a decision as well. As Verney has now found himself off the track, so he's having to traverse his way back onto the road. But he had one hell of a gap over Johnny Rowe. What has Rowe pitted? No. How has he lost so much time? Maybe it's just lack of experience in this car, just unable to set some quick lap times, but he is running consistently. But at the front, Josh Houghton now has less than a second back to Phil Vella here, Hutto. Vella's done well to catch up to him. What might be going through Josh's mind right now after seeing a competitor like Phil catching him up so quickly at the top end of town? I mean, what would be going through his mind as a driver of like, is he mentally preparing himself for this battle over the last lap? Because Phil has got a heap of pace over him through the first sector. He's already gained 4/10.
Yeah, I think, like you said, you'd be kind of prepping yourself to get as wide as possible on this very narrow track. Whilst there aren't a great deal of opportunities to pass, I think Josh would just be prepping for just hold on for dear life, really.
Might be the only thing he can do is Katakazinos has had an off track, but where is he? Oh, he's missing a wheel, and
that on track though.
That might be the third safety car. He is nice and
down
far
after
off.
A hairpin.
So what's happened to him?
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
is
down
he
the bottom
just
here
gone
underneath
straight
the
off?
bridge.
Oh, he's had contact from him behind. Who was that hit him? Oh, it was Rosanita. So it's Rosanita. Where is he? Here he is. So you see him alongside. Oh, and he's almost moved across on him. Oh, that's a tough one. Oh, yep.
Katakazinos has been given the clear to tow, so there won't be a safety car coming up.
Yeah, he was far enough off track. He wasn't in anyone's way out in the kitty litter. But right now, Josh Houghton might be getting in the way of Phil Vella, who's hoping to take the lead and take back another win in this series. He's going to try and send it down the inside here. They're going to go too wide up into the next corner. Oh, Vella has got the, he's got those cojones on full display here tonight. He is willing to send it wherever he can to get this lead. And is that the difference maker, Hutto, between, you know, a good driver and a driver who takes 30-odd wins in a championship?
Oh, I think a lot of patience, but as we've seen, Phil Vella's no slouch. He'll be able to catch him back up again soon and probably have another crack. I think it would have been a smart idea to try and have a go here in the S's or down in Melbourne or the final turn, turn 11. Trying to go through that sweeping part, it's a very high-risk sort of manoeuvre. So if I was Vella, I would have waited probably a few more turns, got a really good run on him into the S's or Melbourne there.
Well, right now, he is putting all the pressure on Josh Houghton at the front of the field. They have a 7.6 second gap back to Shane Ratcliffe right now.
And I have some bad news for you, Hamish.
What is
unfortunately,
bad news?
Shane Ratcliffe's got a black flag.
Oh no, what has he done?
I think it might have been that incident with Scotty Pocock at the S's there that sent him wide. So it's unfortunate for Shane. He'll have to serve a drive-through and that also pit as well. That's going to put him a fair way down the order now.
Yeah, that's going to take him well out of contention. As Vella and Houghton are having one hell of a scrap at the front end of the field. They went too wide through the first sector. They're still too wide into the next. And Vella is just trying to find any which way around Josh Houghton right now. But you almost have a feeling, Hutto, that this thing could blow up at any moment between them. They are getting super, super close here on track as it's a drag race down towards the chicane. Who's going to be the first one to break into this corner? Oh, is he going to try it? No, he has to back out, unfortunately, for Vella now down towards the hairpin. They go again for another lap, and you can't even pick when Vella's going to be able to get this done. He is feisty and furious trying to get to the front of the field.
To Vella's credit, he is looking at just about every opportunity to make this move. However, Houghton's doing a fantastic job, I guess, fending off Mr. Vella right now.
He's defending for his life at the moment. At the front of the field is Josh Houghton. He has taken a win in these cars, hasn't he? I think it's Spa, didn't he?
Houghton?
Yeah. Could have sworn he did it on debut. We'll see. We'll see if Hutto can find the stats for us.
Unfortunately, Dylan De Bono took the win at Spa there in the wet. Dylan De Bono seems to be a bit of a rainmaster, actually, in these cars.
Has Houghton taken a win yet?
I don't think so.
Oh, well,
I don't think he's made the board yet.
Well, we could be on for not only the 30th winner here tonight with Ben Faulkner, but also the 31st winner for Josh Houghton and a double for Vermilion Motorsports with both of their different drivers on the top step in the series. I'd be interested to know what the stat is the last time that's happened, where not only it's been a first-time win for either driver in both races, but it's also been two different drivers from the same team taking a win in each race. That would be one hell of a stat to see if that's ever happened.
Yeah, I think that'd be a bit of a deep dive. If any team really comes to mind, it's either going to be the old Kittens team or DFR, perhaps.
Yeah, or even maybe Velocity Sim Labs.
Would you count Carlin's? You know, new team, same drivers, you know, drivers move across. Would you still count that? And De Bono entered the pits now.
So is Byrne. Just quickly, he's actually followed Byrne in, so he's counteracted Byrne coming in as well as Pocock in now as well. So, I mean, I'm not necessarily saying a new team, but if that was the first time they ever did it, but it was under Carlin's, then yeah, I'd count that.
We'll have to do a deep dive and get back to you next week for some, I guess, stats with Hutto and Hamish.
As Gallo right now, he seems to, I mean, he's up 14 positions in this race. Gallo almost seems to be in a little bit of limbo this season compared to last. I mean, he fought for that championship up towards the final round. He has been somewhat consistent this season, but I don't know, although to be fair, he nearly won the championship last season without even winning a race. Yeah, I don't know. Is the David Gallo of season one slightly better than this David Gallo? I don't know. What do you think, Hutto?
Well, I guess he's had mixed results already this season. Like he finished P27 in round one, race one, followed by P5 to chalk up a good, healthy amount of points. I guess round two, he came 11th. That's not bad either. Definitely, I guess, because the pro field has filled out and the strength is, you know, I guess, increased by a substantial amount. It's not easy days for these guys that have been around for a long time to just, you know, go out and chalk up a top five. They now have to fight for it, as we've seen today with Ben Faulkner coming in and becoming our 30th race winner.
Yeah, I suppose it really pays testament to how much more competitive the field is in this series. As De Bono actually pitting a lap earlier has found himself now P8 on the road. Daniel Burns found himself now up in P6, so they have actually made some gains over that pit stop period here, Hutto. With 12 minutes to go of this race, or around about 11 minutes to go of this race, it looks like it's the Phil Vella and Josh Houghton show at the moment. They've got one hell of a gap over Dougie Gowans in P3. It's now up to 8 seconds, but it is a 1v1 at the front of the field. A bit further back, we've got Vella's teammate who's battling inside the top 10, but Vella is trying to get this move done. He's been lighted up for about 5 laps, Hutto. They're too wide into the final corner. They've both had to lock it up. Vela tries to get it down up the inside. It's going to be a drag race out of turn, but they're coming too wide into the pit lane, and Vela is into the wall.
What have we just seen?
What the hell? I have never seen that in my life.
This opens up the door for Doug Gowans and Jay Dixon. Like, it throws it wide open. I'm sure Vela will be using his fast repair, and we'll see what actually comes of it when race control unpack it all. But
he was kind of lucky that he was in the pit entry. I mean,
it was hard racing. I wonder if either of them were going to slow down. They're going quick into that pit entry.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, they have come out still P1 and P2, but it's who's the onus on? Vela's on the inside, but Houghton is in the lead. So it's whoever has the onus and the right of way into pit entry, wouldn't it?
I don't want to comment on this. I think our race control will be looking long, hard at this. Honestly, we wouldn't be surprised if it goes to a post-race.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one for pure investigation. I mean, it's pure speculation on our behalf to claim anyone's at fault, of course. I mean, you could argue both of them have just as much at play in that point, but it's whether, it might even just come down to the literal rule of who has the right of way entering pit lane and who has broken a rule at that point. I mean, that is what it is literally going to come down to, I think, for race control to make a decision.
Well, we've just heard over the radio now, race control has instructed car 043 to give back the position to car 36.
Interesting. So they're going to claim it's a redress for that lead of the race. I don't know how I feel about that, Hutto. I mean, Vela's been handed the lead, and if he wins, you could argue he's been handed the win. But in saying that as well, he has been forced into the wall. But maybe Vela had, maybe his car was technically in the pit entry first.
I guess, yeah, we'd have to look at every angle, just like race control have access to.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess, yeah, we've got our job. We've got to cover the whole field. We can't just focus on one incident.
Steph Piccoli's calling you very diplomatic, Hutto. We need to get that dog out of you right now, Hutto, and get you more opinionated, I think, in future.
I barrack for Switzerland.
They look up the Geneva Convention in the encyclopedia, and your face comes up. I see.
Yeah, I wrote it. I helped actually write it. Yeah, one of those fun facts.
You forwarded the Geneva Convention, did you?
Correct. Yes.
Dylan De Bono is now up 29 positions in this race. I just want to check if it is actually 29. He started ahead of race control. So he is up a genuine 29 positions into P5. Surely this has to be a record for most positions gained in a single race. I mean, I cannot think of anyone, if he can finish in this position, to have ever finished a race with that many positions gained before.
Yeah, well, I guess with these larger fields we're seeing this season and last season, to be honest, we may see these 30 pluses or 35 pluses even. I guess, De Bono is one of those drivers that can go from the rear and make those passes. I guess it is a testament to him. Like he's been in the pack, he's been able to chip away, make those moves. He's served his pit stop so he can make it all the way home. I think this top 5 finish, as he just skirts on the grass there, if he can pull off a top 5 finish, it's well deserved.
Well, if he makes up one more position, he would get a 30th position gain in this race, but he has got 2 seconds up to the back of Jay Dixon, and it's all right to get onto the back of Jay Dixon, but you've got to also be able to get past him as well. And with just under 6.5 minutes to go in this race, I don't know how likely that is for Dylan De Bono. In fact, he is still under pressure from Daniel Burnham behind. Darren Fahey is in a nice little 1v1 with Scotty Barton, and I kind of expected these sorts of battles to happen throughout this race, Hutto, of the whole field starts to spread out, but you find 2 or 3 drivers stuck together like glue who are having these consistent swapping and changing of positions throughout this race. Ben Fortner saying, I did 36 to second in 8.6s. Well, that would be, 34 positions gained? I mean, we're talking about just in terms of the history of the F3s and SFLs, Ben. I mean, the most positions I've ever seen gained, I think, was 37 in split to vets, which was an absolute chaotic race. But, I mean, 36 to second, still very impressive, especially in the 8.6 field. That's incredibly chaotic, but I think I'm going to put my heart in my sleeve, and I'm going to say that I think is actually now the record, 29 positions. I don't think I've ever seen anyone crack the 30 before in this series, because we haven't really had as big of a grid as we've had this season, and I can't recall it happening this season, Hutto, at any point.
Yeah, definitely not this season, but Hamish, you've given me a hell of a lot of homework to go and research before we get to next week.
It's amazing how many more stats we can come up with in one race, isn't it? So
I guess
when
tonight's the night of the 30s. If we see Dylan De Bono, get that 30, or get up onto P4, 30 passes for Dylan De Bono, and Ben Faulkner being our 30th race winner.
Yeah, well, it's not looking likely that we're going to have our 31st race winner, but Josh Houghton is putting a challenge in for that. 5 minutes to go now, and he's right on the back of Phil Vella for the lead of this race. They got lap traffic up ahead of him in Andrew Cowan. Houghton gets it done down through turn 1, but Vella is going to try and hold it with him here. He sent it down the inside. A great little move there from Houghton, but Vella is going to try and hang on to this position as best he can and hang on to, the back of Josh Houghton for the lead of this race. Oh, but Houghton running it into the sand. Would that count as an off-track there? I don't know, Hutto, if it would.
Yeah, the off-track counts would be creeping up. It's very easy to go off here, but just in the lead up to that pass by Houghton, I think Vella must have made a slight mistake down the back there, because he had almost checked out to a second gap. And then, as we look up on the screen, Houghton was right on his hammer. So this is going to go right down to the wire.
Yeah, this is going to be a battle for the ages for the win of this race. Into the chicane they come now. They both have to keep it as clean and consistent as possible towards the checkered flag if either of them have any hopes of winning this race. They pass the lap traffic ahead of them through the hairpin. 4 minutes to go of this race now. Probably 3 or 4 laps. I'm going to say 3 laps actually to go in this race. Oh, Houghton with a slight lock through the final corner. Vella is all over him right now. Will Houghton cover this inside line, or is Vella going to try and send it up the inside? Oh, Houghton does his legal one move across the track. He's covering that position well. Oh, Vella, I feel, is going to have to try and send it here on Houghton if he wants to get this done, because realistically, he couldn't even get the lead without actually Houghton copping a penalty. Although in saying that, he's trying to send it round the outside. Oh my God, they've had a massive collision!
And this is exactly what we didn't want to see. You don't want to see your P1 and P2 go out like this. However, this now just elevates Dougie Gowans. He's got a handy little leader in front of Jay Dixon.
It was almost... We were waiting for it to happen, Hutto. Nothing against either driver. They've both been racing incredibly clean majority of the way. But they were so close, and the margins were so close, and the percentiles were so close. And one thing I have now noticed is Dylan De Bono has now passed Jay Dixon for P2 on the road, and he's only got his teammate to get past now for the lead of this race.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if De Bono can now catch Dougie. He's only trails him by, almost just under 2 seconds now, so... Oh, it's not what you want to see, gentlemen.
Let's just see if we can get a slightly better angle of this, because they both end up there. Vella then jumps back to pits.
And I reiterated several times, you have to be patient through these first 2 sectors. Yes, I guess, hats off to Vella for trying, but I think you've got more of a chance in those final 2 sectors to actually make a good, clean move.
I agree. I mean, the margins super tight. They're probably going to look at that quite unfavourably in terms of Phil Vella, because he has towed back to pits without permission.
But it is that high risk, high reward. Look, some drivers they can pull it off. Unfortunately, that one has not paid off for either driver.
It really hasn't. It's you hate to see a race end like that for those guys, because they were a cut above the rest in this race. But the focus now needs to be on Dougie Gowans. Now, he has taken a race win, correct, Hutto, so we would not be getting a new race winner with Doug Gowans. He's going to have 1 lap left in this race to take this win over his teammate Dylan De Bono and Jay Dixon. And honestly, if anyone was going to take the lead off of such a chaotic end to their race, it could not happen to a nicer guy in the field, I think, for Dougie.
Dougie, he's been around for a long time. This is his 97th race start.
Wow.
He'll be chalking up number 100 throughout the season, and he might be able to bring home win number 4 tonight.
Well, if he can do that, I mean, he's been one of those drivers throughout the time that I've called the action here for Wednesday nights. He obviously he's taken some wins, but he always feels like the bridesmaid, never the bride. He's always gotten super, super close to another win and another win and another win. But he just hasn't quite got there, whether it's a mistake of his own or getting caught up in an incident or helping his teammate if they're in a championship battle. Whatever it might be, he's always there, but he's never quite able to put it together. And if he can put this together tonight now over the last lap, and personally I think Dylan shouldn't challenge him for this. He should let Dougie have this. Dougie's earned this win after all the times that he's helped Dylan throughout the years or throughout the seasons. I think Dougie's earned this at this point. He may not have earned it necessarily in quotes tonight, but he also has by running a clean, consistent race, Hutto.
Well, what do they say? To finish first you have to finish. And
That's
Doug
exactly
Gowans
right.
has been there, Mr. Consistent. So, if he takes home this after, one more corner, hats off to him, Dougie. Well done.
Well, as he comes up towards the final corner for the final time in this race, Dougie Gowans, out of absolutely nowhere, is going to take the win at Donington Park. De Bono up 32 positions, finishes P2 on the road, with Jay Dixon in P3 here tonight. David Gallo is going to come home P4 up 16, and Callan Hodgkinson is going to finish inside the top 5 and P1 for the Pro-Ams. A bit further back, we've got Callum Rossanita. He currently leads the amateur field as he comes in towards the final sector of this track. And he's only a couple of corners away from a class win here at Donington Park, as he has got quite a distance back to P2 and Greg Johnson at the moment. In what has been chaotic, controversial, as well as arguably shambolic for some drivers, Rossanita will cross the line. He will take the amateur win here tonight, and P18 on the road in sensational form. But Dougie Gowans, what a man. After so long thirsting for that top step simulated champagne, Hutto, he finally gets his, his dues paid, and he finally gets another win next to his name.
Yeah, and like we said, patience is the virtue, and that's definitely paid off for Doug tonight.
Well, it was an exceptional performance from him. We have got our provisional results now for the feature race here tonight. This is how they finish out on track. Dougie Gowans, P1 on the road for Velocity SimLab, ahead of his teammate Dylan De Bono. Out of absolutely nowhere, they have taken a 1-2 finish here at Donington Park, and Dougie only led for the final 2 laps. Jay Dixon takes home P3 for DFR, ahead of David Gallo in P4. Callan Hodgson will take P5. P1 for the Pro-Ams here tonight. Then it'll be Ben Brook in behind with Scotty Barton, Darren Fahey. Greg Bradley and Scott Pocock will then make up the top 10. Andrew Johnston on return to the series takes P11 with Shane Ratcliffe, Tyler Sheaf, Jason Depp, and Jamie Davis taking a top 15 position ahead of Sean Benici, Daniel Byrne, and then Callum Rossanita for P18 on the road, P1 for the amateurs ahead of Josh King. Then back to Nathan Verdi in the top 20. Greg Johnson, Andrew Rushworth, Jordan Ferguson, Andrew Cowan, Johnny Rowe, 2 debutants there, finishing at the back end of the top 25 with Anderson, Lipsky, Gerard, Sinkovic, Vela, Houghton, Katakazinos, Schmalenberg, Wakefield, Tessiero, Faulkner, Caldwell at the back end of the field. As we will just await our podium finishers to get into the green room to have a quick chat to them here tonight. We'll see who is going to get the benefits of their rewards. Hutto, do you want to have a quick chat to Cowie? I just have to quickly run out of the room for 5 minutes before we chat to our podium finishers, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
Very good. I'll drag him down. Oh, if it's going to let me. Mr. Cowan, I've dragged you in for a little quick post-race chat with Hutto, as I need to run away for just 5 minutes here.
Fair enough, buddy.
So Hutto's just going to quickly run through what you thought of the race and how you went out there.
Well, she's pretty chaotic there, buddy.
Yeah, Cowie. So I guess after chatting to us at half time, or halfway through the sessions there, How'd you find your race too? Was it were you able to find a bit more of a tempo and feel a bit more comfortable, or was it just as hectic as race 1?
Oh, look, I got caught up, and I think I went right to the back with the early incident. I didn't get damage, but I had to slow down, and then I thought I'd pit early and maybe try and give myself a lap or two, grace for the fuel. And then when that other was that safety car? It was about lap 8. No, it was no safety car. About lap 8, I was coming down through the kink, and the boys in front came together, and I just had nowhere to go. And when you're flying through there, if something happens, you're a passenger. And that sort of killed the front of my car. I had to pit, and that sort of put me back to right in front of the leaders and battling at the end there. So got some clear run and enjoyed that, but it would have been nice to battle a bit harder, but that's what happens.
Yeah, good to hear. I guess, Cowie, you're predominantly a sedans man. You feature heavily in the V8 supercars. I guess, what's the main differences you're finding, or like different sort of mindset you have to take in when driving these open wheelers or the high downforce cars?
A couple of things. I think the initial brake pressure is a lot harder. So, the idea is take advantage of the downforce. So, brake hard early and then trail off a lot earlier. Whereas the supercar is a car where you've got to stay on the trail brake a long time to keep the nose down. So I think with this, it's braking earlier, harder, and then releasing. And so it's getting used to that. I'm finding that if I have my brake bias too far back, I'm getting wiggles down into the braking zone because I'm trailing too long. I suppose the other thing is it's all about the grip, so once you trust it and send the car, you flick it through corners, and it's like it's on rails sometimes. The problem is, a little bump in the equation, and suddenly it's not on rails, or the rails aren't going around the corner, they're going straight off.
Yeah, correct. I think we saw several drivers get caught out with that this evening, whether they drop a tyre or they, think the tyres are up to temp and they kind of swing it into a corner. It just doesn't bite enough, and a few guys having excursions off into the grass or into the sand pit. I guess for yourself, you got caught up in a few incidents, but overall, did you enjoy yourself out there for your, I guess, first official race out there tonight?
Yeah, look, had a great time. I felt like I was sort of on a similar pace to the guys around me on the grid and all that, maybe a little bit quicker. If I had qualified a bit better, I might have been battling a bit higher up. But, look, the concertinas, someone has a little moment at a couple of those choke points, the chicanes and that, and suddenly, you've caught up 2 seconds in a matter of moments. So, it really keeps you on your toes. And unfortunately, when you're close to things and it happens, you've got nowhere to go. So these things happen. I'll come back and fight again in next week. But my main goal tonight, buddy, was not to take anyone out myself. I think I got taken out twice, but at least it wasn't me doing it.
Well, it's good to hear. I guess next week being the Canadian Tire Park, very a similar kind of track to what we saw tonight here at Donington, with those sweeping corners and be able to use the I guess the full range of downforce that's available to these cars. I guess what's your plan for next week? Do you set yourself goals now?
Well, look, it's track I love in the supercars, but you use a lot of curb in the supercars. I'm sure you don't use that in these things. So, look, it'll just be about trying to find practice. I was a bit scared when they were telling me Phil Vella's numbers a couple of days ago, but I can see, having done at least a race now, I'm fairly comparative with the mid-pack, and so hopefully should get some good racing.
Good. Well, Hamish is still away for a little bit more. Cowie, if you want to stay around, we might drag our AM champion in to get the interviews rolling, shall we?
Yeah, man.
Okay, let's just drag. I might have to get you to do this, Mr. Cowie.
Mr. Callum Roseneater?
Yes, please.
Well, there he is. We'll drag him in.
Callum, welcome to the, I guess, the broadcast. Congratulations on your P1 tonight for the AM class. How'd that race go for you, mate?
Yeah, it was good. I'm a bit under the weather. I was a bit seedy going into it, but it seemed to have gone all right.
I guess you're able to stay out of trouble and take the AM win tonight. You weren't caught up. Well, not that I saw too much of it, but you weren't caught up in any early traffic. Or how was race one? Was it nice and tidy, or how did it play out?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I was a bit worried. I think it might have been the start of race two. It was maybe start of race two. I think I was a bit worried, sort of moving into turn one, and I sort of went, throw it up the inside, and then all of a sudden, just cars were going everywhere. But I just sort of kept going inside, and I took an off track to get around it, but came out ahead, and it was sort of all good. And other than that, I just sort of tried to pick my corners and not go too wide through the chicane.
And like you said, mate, sometimes just taking that off track, and surviving another time just to, not crash out is well worth it in the end.
Oh, definitely.
I see you're sitting P3 in the P4 in the AM Championship so far. I didn't see Russell Gander out on track and Mitch Noble serving a sabbatical. I guess you'll make some valuable points up on those guys. How do you fancy yourself for the championship this year after, I guess, narrowly missing out last season?
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I'll try my best. I don't know how it'll go, but I will give it a go.
It's good to hear. Good to hear. Cowie, have you got anything for our AM champion for this evening?
Well, I was gonna look. I was talking about it out there, Callan. Did you have any of those heart and throat moments at the choke points when the guys checked in front of you? Because I know I had a couple out there, and I don't know how I survived one of them.
Yeah, it was definitely a mess. I'd come together with Sam Katakazinos, I think, at some point. He'd sort of got up the inside of me at the kink, and I thought I'd given him enough room, but he seemed to have he really backed off into the kink more than I'd expected, and we touched, and he went flying. Fortunately, I was fine, so I feel a little sorry for him, but yeah, fortunately I survived it. So yeah.
Yes. Just looking back through my race notes, you had a bit of a black flag there as well.
Yeah, picked up
race
a black
two.
flag, unfortunately. Yeah.
I guess serving that black flag, do you come back out in the traffic? Did you find it that you I guess, was it easy to get back through the field to where you wanted to be, or was it still, I guess, tough going?
No, it was tough going. It probably put me back a couple of positions, and that's sort of where I stayed. If I, I think it had. I think the field had relatively settled at that point. There wasn't a lot of overtakes to be had. I think there was maybe a few, but yeah, for the most part, I was just sort of roughly in the same pace the whole time.
And I guess lastly, Callum, next week we head to the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It's a track very similar to this, where you may have to be patient until you get up that long straight right towards the end. I guess, what's your mindset going into next week?
Well, just try and keep out of trouble, and hopefully I get some good practice in over the weekend. That's the plan.
Fantastic to hear. Well, Cal, I've got no more questions for you. Cowie, you got anything more, mate?
No, I think so. We'll just let Cal let us know who's giving you all the support out there, and well done on your AM victory tonight.
Awesome, thank you, and yeah, thanks to my girlfriend and parents for watching, and thanks to the boys at Triple F that helped me out.
Well done, Callum. Thank you very much, mate.
Thank you.
Oh, is that from Callum to Callan?
I am back, by the way. So sorry about
Aha.
that. A
slight
little emergency. I appreciate that you guys took the reins for a moment there. Made it a lot easier for me.
That's what we do. We're a team. We fill in when we need to.
No worries,
Cowie, if you want.
Well, I've only got my perspective of the race, so I don't know if I'll be able to talk about how the action was up front. But I did know, what was it, race one? I could hear him changing positions almost every lap, so it was really good to hear.
Yeah, well, definitely go watch the replay back, Cowie, and yeah, I think you'll be thoroughly pleased with the action that was on tonight.
All right, boys, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Take it easy.
See you, mate. All right, we will drag in Mr. Hodgkinson now. Mr. Callan Hodgkinson, congratulations. Not only on a Pro-Am win here tonight, but also a top 5 finish in the books for yourself. A clean, consistent run sees you come home in that position. In quite an impressive finish for yourself there, Cal. You finally found some form in this car, and it's paying off now with some good chunk of points on the board for yourself.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, it was a good race. I managed to stay out of the carnage, turn 1, and yeah, I do like the track. It's one of my favourite ones. So yeah, I had the pace. And, yeah, it got a good result. That.
I guess, Callan, a bit of a slow start for you this season. I think you didn't participate in round 1, and then I guess an unfavourable result in at the start of round 3. Tonight you get a P5 and a good chunk of points. How do you see yourself going for the rest of the season? I guess you're sitting down in P5, but yeah, tonight should definitely elevate you up somewhere.
Yeah, well, I'm straight on the back foot because last round of last season I got an incident. I got a drive through and it took me over to 10 points or whatever. So I got a suspension for round 1. So that was that threw me on the back foot. So I'm a bit behind from that, but yeah, it's a good bag of points to put me back up there a bit.
Yeah, good. Unfortunately, yeah, I guess with that serve sabbatical, a drop round will also have to be applied further down the track. But nonetheless, a fantastic result tonight. How was the racing out there? I guess it was very, very busy out on track from what we could see.
Yeah, it was. If you get through turn 1 without interlocking wheels or someone, you sort of can just. It's actually quite a difficult track to pass on. It looks easier, but it's the racing was good. I had fun up front. When you're up the front, there's not as much carnage, so where you want to be. But yeah, I managed to stay out of it.
Well, I guess, I mean, Hutto, Callan, he was on the bubble in terms of championship standings. Knowing now that his first round is undroppable because of a round ban, does that now change where Cal could be positioned on the bubble for that top 20?
Yes, it will. It'll. I guess Cal will really have to, do what he did tonight and just chalk up a bunch of points to further elevate him up the ladder. But like, it's still early days. It's only round 4. There's still 5 rounds left to, accumulate those totals. I guess one for you, Cal. Have you got one eye on the, the top 20 for the Australian Open Wheel Nationals?
Yeah, I haven't really thought about it until you mentioned the bubble just now. So, yeah, of course, obviously, you'd like to get into that. This is definitely my favourite category, or car to race and iRacing. So, that'd be good. When's that finishing? 5 rounds, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next week is what, round 5?
Yeah, as soon as we finish this season, the following week will be the Australian Open Wheel Nationals against our good friends at Gentlemen's Sim Racing Club, where we'll take our top 20 drivers to versus their top 20. It's sure to be a fantastic race, but yeah, I know there's definitely several drivers out there got their eyes peeled for it, or that's their kind of goal to make that top 20, and yeah, it should be a fantastic event.
Yeah, that's it. As you say, if I can keep up what I did tonight, that shouldn't be a problem, but we'll see how we go. Get some practice in and keep on trucking.
We've seen you pull up performances like this before, Cal, but it feels good to see you up the field once again and getting these clean, consistent finishes, because we know you have got this in your locker. I think previously you've been in a bit of bad luck in getting around other people's incidents and even causing your own sometimes as well. But a good, clean finish for you here tonight at Donington gives you some good momentum going into next week, which I believe is it's Most Sport, which is probably a very similar style of track to this one, Hutto, where it could test a lot of drivers out there, but could also lead to some big incidents, but some big chunk of free positions that can be gained throughout that track. So are you comfortable around there, Cal, or how do you feel about Most Sport?
Yeah, it's another one of my liked tracks, so we're going with confidence. We've got to go in with confidence, so I'll do some practice during the week and see how we go.
Oh, mate, all the best for that one. Let us know who helps get you and Blackout OPR on track. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well? And for myself and Hutto, congratulations on your P1 in the Pro-Am class and your top 5 overall here tonight.
Thanks, boys, and thanks to you for doing the stream. The SRW for the league. And Blackout OPR, stimrigs.com, Palmerston Bakery, Distraction Sim Supply, Front Scenery, DSM Painting and Decorating, and Blackout Electrical Solutions. Thanks to all those guys. Yes.
Very good, mate. Well, best of luck next week out at Most Sport, and if we don't get a chance to speak to you for whatever reason, best of luck for the rest of the season ahead.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks, mate. All right, Hutto, we'll drag in Mr. Dixon here for P3. Mr. J. Dixon, after what can only be described as an absolute blow-up from your teammate and Josh Houghton at the front of the field, you have Bradbury'd your way onto the podium here tonight. But as Hutto said on the broadcast, to finish first you have to finish. Well, I guess to finish third, you first have to finish as well. And in an exceptional performance from yourself, you managed to hold out a top 10 position, and it paid off for you to get a P3 here tonight after the front two miraculously ruined their own race.
Yeah, look, it was a pretty wild race. Had a couple of new guys come in tonight, and yeah, someone decided to fuck around and find out, and cost a few other people some wings and some positions and whatnot. So yeah, it was a bit of a wild old race tonight, but yeah, happy to get a podium. I'll take that.
Well, I mean, obviously things would have been a little bit heated for Phil at the front, but you were in great form in that mid part of the top 10, just running a consistent J. Dixon race, I think is the best way we can describe that. You were just hitting your marks, cutting laps, staying in position. I mean, De Bono got past you, towards the end of the race, but I mean, it's only 2 points you're giving up at the end of the day. You're not really going to gain too much by, trying to defend that position too hard, apart from maybe a drop of ego. But you kept it clean throughout the proceedings. You got up on the podium. It's another podium for yourself and a good chunk of points. We were speaking about it pre-race. It almost seemed like you were in limbo a little bit at the moment, a little bit like you're not quite up to scratch of where you've been previously. Do you think maybe it's the whole field has started to come up back towards you a little bit now with this new car? Maybe time out of the cars caused you to just drop a little bit of pace? Or from a bit of personal reflection, how do you think things have gone for yourself since returning to the series and into the car? And where do you think you can maybe perform a little bit better and gain on some of the field out there on track?
Oh, look, if I did any kind of practice during the week, it'd probably help a little bit.
As it does.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't race last season, so I don't have a full season under my belt in this car yet. Still getting to grips a little bit with it, but yeah, that's coming along pretty quickly. But yeah, look, Dylan hunted me down. He was hunting me down like 3-4 tenths a lap towards the end there. So I wasn't gonna survive the onslaught. So I just kind of made it a little bit easier than I otherwise could have. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Yeah, the fuel strategy this week was not a 0 IQ one, thankfully. So I finished in a normal position.
Well, Brad, do you have anything? Jay. I was going to say, do you have anything you want to ask Jay? But it sounds like you do.
Well, Jay almost just took the words or my question right out of my mouth. I was going to ask how was it going with Dylan De Bono? I guess slowly catching me down and passing him for the P2 there. But yeah,
it wasn't really slow. He didn't slowly catch me. He caught me real quick, and you got to slow down at one point. So he was fighting with either Byrne or Gallo at one point, and I saw the gap closing, and it was down to like 1 second, and then all of a sudden it was out to like 4. So which basically means he's cut the dirt at the top of the hill, I think. But yeah, the slowdowns were brutal tonight. If Donington, if you cross one of the timing lines or the sector lines while you've got a slowdown, it basically adds a second to it. So a 1 second slowdown basically drops you about 4 seconds on the track. So
wow. Yeah,
it's brutal. It's pretty brutal. I saw quite a few people get them. So and it's dead obvious when it happens.
So Jay, I guess for you and for DFR, now you've seen, I guess, the skill level that's now within our series upon return, or like your return back to the series. What's the goal? Obviously, P1 or trying to be that top team and take 1, 2, 3. I guess What's the end goal, or I guess a more realistic goal that you guys can definitely achieve?
Look, at the moment, it's kind of support Phil. I believe Phil's around for the whole season. I'm going to miss the last like 3 or 4 rounds. I'm headed overseas, so I won't see out the whole season. But yeah, in the meantime, just sort of have some fun, have some good racing. Support Phil where I can, and Darren, and yeah, take it from there.
So Darren will have to play rear gunner from now on, I guess.
Sometimes, yeah, but no, he's good. He's good with playing the team game as well. So we all work together.
That's good to hear.
Well, we did have some chirping in the chat earlier from one Adrian Loretti, claiming that you have regressed a little bit coming into this season. So maybe you've shown him up now after that comment. But regardless though, mate, let us know how helps get you and DFR out on track. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well? And for myself and Hutto, congratulations on your P3 on the road here tonight.
Cheers, guys. Yeah, look, Adrian's just a bit salty because we're still racing at 8 o'clock and not 8:30. He's championing the efforts to start half an hour later, and then he'll be back if that's the case. But yeah, look, thanks to you guys for running the events. It's always good fun. Thanks for the guys and girls at DFR and friends who keep us sane and happy during the week.
Very good, mate. Well, best of luck for Mosport next week, which I think is what your final round of the season.
Love that track.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what a way to end your season on. Unfortunately, it means you missed the 2 F1 rounds we have this season coming up in Zandvoort and Monza. But I hope next week is a fruitful one for yourself and a good chunk of points before you finish out the season here with us. But best of luck next week. Hopefully, we get to have a chat to you before you go overseas. And
I'll make Zandvoort, but I'll be at Monza proper. So that week.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
man, not too bad for me.
That's pretty good. Oh, well, best of luck for Mosport, but if we don't get a chance to speak to you next week, best of luck for Zandvoort as well.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, mate. All right, Hutto, we'll drag in, I think, both Mr. Gowans and Mr. De Bono, since they are from the same team. We do like to do that when they finish 1-2 on the road. Mr. Dylan De Bono and Mr. Dougie Gowans. And I was saying on the broadcast, Dougie, for anyone to Bradbury their way onto the top step of the podium here tonight, it could not have happened to a nicer guy out in the field. Congratulations on your 4th win in the F3/Super Formulas, and congratulations to yourself, Dylan, on not only another podium finish for you, but 32 positions gained, which I'm putting my heart in my sleeve and claiming is the most positions gained ever in an F3/Super Formula Lights race we've ever had here. Hutto is going to check the stat for me there before next week, but I'm fairly confident that has happened. And I'm fairly sure that you own the podium. You own the record. But yeah, I mean, what a race for Velocity SimLabs. And the dying embers of things. 2 laps to go. You guys take P1 and P2 and you hold out for the end of the race. And I mean, could you ask for anything better?
Well, yeah, I would have preferred that the race didn't finish that way for the guys ahead. That's a shame that happened. The race fell into lap. There's no denying that. Of course, you've got to be there at the end to cross the line, don't you? But it's never fun, I guess, to win a race that way. I'll take it. It is what it is.
I guess, yeah, Dougie, what was going through your mind when you saw, I guess, the timing tower or relative, and you just see the names just tumble down, they're off to the side, and now you're in P1. What was going through your mind at that moment?
Oh shit, I'm in the lead.
Well, you hung on, you got the job done, and with a fast chasing Dylan, I guess, yeah. Dylan, my question to you is 32 positions, mate. How'd you do it?
Yeah, obviously not the position you want to be in starting the race. Sort of scared me starting on a corner off the start. That was quite weird. And then just slowly picked them off. I think after the safety car, the first safety car was up to past 15 cars. I sort of knew I was going to be in a good spot. Then I got inside that top 10 sort of zone, and just started pressing down the lap times. I think I was running 19.5s for 15 laps straight. That closed the gap up nicely to the cars ahead. And obviously, the further up the field you drive, the harder it is to catch and pass. But I don't know, my car came alive at the end.
Well, it didn't seem like you had too much of a problem to do that at all, Dylan. And I guess for the both of you, Dylan, you pitted on lap 17, Dougie on lap 19. Did the pit strategy have anything to do, or did it change the race for you? Did you find any ground, or?
I think.
Oh, you go, Dill. You go.
Yeah, to be honest, I found I pitted on that lap because I actually got a slow down, so it sort of helped me hit a slow down. But then I got stuck in traffic, lost about 3 seconds there. But I think the pit strategy was pretty open tonight. There was a fair bit of room for the pit window to make enough fuel pretty well into the race, and I think just trying to work it out so you didn't come out in traffic was the key.
Yeah, and from my end, I was just about to jump in the pit a lap earlier, but the car that was in front of me, he decided to go in, so I thought I'd just do one more lap, and yeah, I actually came out quite a little distance in front, if I remember correctly, which was quite surprising. You know, those lap times that Dylan was talking about, coming towards the end of the race, it was hard. It was very hard to hit those lap times. The tyres were gone, they were hot. Track was getting warmer. Yeah, so I mean, to keep that pace up for 15 to 20 laps like
Dylan, I guess, how many more laps would have you wanted? Or how much more time do you think?
To get Dougie? No, Dougie deserved that race win. You know, he finished well in that first. I think he finished third, and then he made his way back through in that second race. Yeah, he deserved that race.
I wasn't gonna let him through. Once I got the measure of Jay's pace, I just kind of backed off a little bit just to keep that gap behind Jay. So I still had a little bit in reserve, probably not as much as what Dylan had. But we done some great practice the other night, and I think our fastest lap times were only separated by 1/100th of a second. So yeah, if we wanted the battle, it would have been a tight battle, a very clean one.
I guess just another question for both of you. At the end of the season, as Dougie, you definitely know, we have the Australian Open Wheel Nationals, you know, racing against our good friends at GSRC. I guess, are we looking forward to it? Have we any plans? Yeah, what's the goal going into the final end of the season?
You go, Dill.
To be honest, just to make it at this point, that would be nice.
You're not going to be away with more State of Origin, are you, Dill?
No. It would just be, I'm talking just making the top 20, you know, our SRW Formula 3 series is, I think it's stepped up a couple of levels this season, and the level of the speed of drivers has definitely gone up. You know, and that's just making it harder and harder. So I'll try and make every race, but it does.
So can we expect you to be absent for a couple of weeks? Are you looking a bit of time off, or just busy with work, etc.?
No, I'm going to try not to miss any races, but you know, sometimes the pub calls.
Yes, of course.
It's what happens when you're 18.
Well, I mean, in saying that though, I miss my trivia nights at the pub on Wednesday nights because I broadcast this. Surely you could give up one night on the beers, Dylan, just to come racing with us. I mean, it's one day out of 7, surely.
He'll be here. He'll be here. Absolutely.
Dougie's going to be behind him with a whip, being like, "Get on track."
I told him at the start of the second race there. I said, "Just take your time." He said, "Oh, I don't know." I said, "Do what your father says." just a little bit of wisdom. Look, I mean, the end of season battle / race with GSRC. It's something that's near and dear to my heart. I really, really cannot wait for it. I think it's just going to be an awesome spectacle. As Dylan, you know, touched on, the drivers that we have now at SRW, Phil Vella, Jay Dick, Darren Fay, Dave Roberts. You know, you got Greg Bradley back, who's a solid driver. You know, I mean, the Scotty Barton. The field is so tight up the top. It is such an awesome feeling to be on track with guys against clean. No, there's nothing better than that. So I think we will go into this race as a league in a very strong position, and you know, and I hope GSRC, you know, are ready for basically.
Well, it's almost a little bit sad coming off our last conversation with Jay Dixon. He's going to miss the last 3 or 4 rounds.
Oh, no.
Which means he's likely not going to finish in the top 20. It almost seems unfair that arguably one of our top 10 drivers is not even going to be able to represent us in that race.
Oh no, isn't he going to like Croatia, Greece, or something?
Well, he's
like
going
that?
to the Italian Grand Prix. So as we race in our Shadow Series, he'll be at the real life event.
Yeah, lucky bugger. Lucky bugger. I'd love to do that.
Oh, well, that's what happens. But you guys ran a great race tonight. No matter how controversial it may have been, that led to you guys getting the win. You got the win in the end, and to finish first, you first have to finish, as the cliche says. But to yourself, Dougie, and to yourself, Dylan, as well, congratulations on your top 2 finish here tonight and to your 4th win in the Super Formula / Formula 3s. Dougie, as well, let us know who helps you guys and Velocity Sim Labs out on track. Anyone else you guys would also like to give a shout out to as well, you're more than welcome to do so.
Oh, look, for me, a win is as rare as hen's So I'll take them when I can, absolutely, and I'll celebrate that with the boys. Again, commiseration to Phil and Josh at the front. I mean, as I said, you never want to win a race like that. So hopefully next round out, better racing, I guess, in that regards. High Koki Power Tools, all the boys at Velocity, Dylan, Shane, Marty, Maddie, Sammy, Cam, here to race. Who else, Dill?
SRW, you guys are putting on the stream. It's always good looking back at the race and seeing all the silly things that you did. And all the race control, all the admins, it all goes unnoticed. But big thanks to you guys, and hopefully we'll see you next week.
Yeah, and the stream's looking real good too, Hamish.
Yeah, we had a couple of teething issues tonight, although we knew that today would be the test, like the proper test, because of how many cars we get and how compacted it gets. A little bit of blinking, but I stopped streaming into Discord just to soften up a bit. So a little bit of playing to come for Wednesdays to get it strengthened. But every other night we've been really, really good and really, really clean and consistent on the stream front. So Wednesdays are still the test, but a little bit of teething issues are okay. We're running pretty consistent across the board now, and just getting this set up so it runs with 40-odd cars will be good. Hopefully next season we get enough entries for 2 splits and we can have 35 to 40 cars in each split. So that means it's not really going to get over the threshold and should run quite cleanly for both. So, but no, it's been good. It's been good. So, thank you to once again, of course, as well, for helping me out with that. And yeah, I mean, you guys exceptional once again. Velocity Simlabs. I mean, it's weird. It's weird having you guys finish 1-2 after we got halfway through this race. You guys weren't really the favourites for the win, and then you've taken the win. So
I'm never the favourite for a win. Let's be real here.
Well, a win's a win. Hopefully you guys can get more for the rest of the season and get up there in the end of the championship. Obviously, Dylan will be hoping to make up for what happened last season, of course, and challenge this championship. But it's going to be tough. I mean, although in saying that, if Phil's had a race like this within 4 rounds, he only needs, 2 more to happen like that, and all of a sudden it's everyone's game by the end of the season. So anything can happen. But thanks for coming over to chat to us, boys. Congratulations once again. We really, really appreciate your time as always. And best of luck for Most Sport next week, because could be a bit of the same next week. It's a very similar track type, and could even have a couple more safety cars involved as well.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, thanks very much, guys. Appreciate all your effort.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks, boys.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Well, Hutto, in a cracking turn of events, the unknown happens once again here on Wednesday nights. It last happened at Catalunya when Dave Roberts arguably bradburied his own way into a championship win, and tonight it happens to Doug Gowans and Dylan DeBono and Jay Dixon to get onto the podium, and for Dougie to take his 4th win in the Super Formulas in cracking fashion.
Oh, mate, absolutely right. And this is why I love this league so much. Like we see, I guess, old-time merchants coming back and getting the odd win here and there. We had a first-time entrant as well getting a win. This series is that competitive. I have very high hopes going forward.
I do as well, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always, to call the action with you, and I'm excited for the rest of the rounds of this season to call the action with you as well, to see how Cowie goes throughout the rest of the season, and to see if he's willing to continue going into next season as well, and see how he goes in Season 4. But we have to give a massive shout out, of course, to all of our series sponsors, including our title sponsors, Warren & Brown Tools, Cooler Master, and Shannon's Insurance for their continued support throughout the week. Of course, Warren & Brown Tools for their support on the Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sundays for the Supercars Series, the GTD Series, and the Supercars Championship, as well as Cooler Master for supporting us here on Wednesday nights, the Super Formula Championship, and for Shannon's for supporting the Toyota GR86 Nationals, even after having to cut back on their support for us here at SRW, as well as big shout out to all of our other sponsors, including NeuroPower, DSL Rail Services, Shunt Scenery, and Grim Industries, the home of the V8 Coffee Table, which can be seen on Prime Video's Top Gear Australia. If you guys haven't already, be sure to hit the like button, the subscribe, and the bell icon if you're watching on YouTube to be notified whenever we go racing here. And if you're watching over on Facebook, be sure to hit the follow button on the page, hit the like button on the page as well, so you can see whenever we post up any goodies to do with our races, any race reviews that get posted, or the results, as well as the live streams as well. But for myself, Hamish Munro and Brad Hudson alongside, we appreciate your time here as always. Sinker and JP will be back in the booth tomorrow night for the Shannon's Insurance GR86 Nationals. They will be out at Lebanon for round number 4 of Season 3. But until then, we hope you stay safe, we hope you drive hard, and we hope, as always, we will see you next time here. But until then, bye for now.
This is amazing. It was clash heads again. This is like Chaz Moskin and Cam Waters. Almost the same situation. Better contact going down the hill. Sam Noble wants to sniff on Dave Coleman now. Sam Noble bottle right now because tell you what, Bruce Tanak and Jamie Dyke just